Welcome to Nimmin Live, the #1 place on the internet to learn about YouTube, network with other content creators, and have an awesome time doing it. My name is Nick, and today I'm answering your YouTube questions. So I'm not supposed to go live for about another 12 minutes based on, what was scheduled. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live anyway because I'm just sitting here. And the only reason that I scheduled it for 10 minutes later is so that I could give it the full hour for, the notifications and all that good stuff. But hey, we're just going to go for it. So I'm supposed to be streaming with Dee right now, and it completely slipped my mind. So Dee, I super apologize for that. I hope that you didn't go over there and get everything like set up and all that. Like, I'm super sorry. Just been hanging out here today. But for everybody else, if you are watching this on the replay, so we are adding timestamps down in the description. So basically what we do during the stream is we answer YouTube questions as they come in. So the idea is if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you check the timestamps because we might have a question that, that you're looking for the answer for. So because of that, make sure that you do check the description for the timestamps, or you'll see those the sections along the bottom of the video player as well. But really, if you look down in the description, it'll be easier to navigate just because there's going to be really small sections for fast questions and things like that. If you are here live, what's going on? Hope that you're doing fantastic today. Super excited to jump into the stream today and get going. Like, technically, I'm not even supposed to be rolling for like another minute. Technically 10 minutes per the schedule, but I'm just going for it anyway. So I hope everybody's had a fantastic week. I am pumped to, come in here and start answering some questions, help you guys solve some problems in terms of, trying to figure out what it is that, you have going on YouTube. So I have a form down in the description below where you can get your questions if you want them answered on the stream today. I just have a few in there right now. So if you want to go ahead and get your question in there, then there's an extremely, we've only got a small handful in there right now. So your question will get answered if you get it in there right now. In addition to that, I do want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you by TubeBuddy, which is the #1 tool for YouTube content creators. TubeBuddy will help you optimize your videos for discovery. It'll help you test your thumbnails to make sure that the thumbnails that you are using for your videos to attract your viewers are the most effective thumbnails that you can use. Basically, how it works is it lets you compare or swap out different thumbnails so that you can see which ones people respond to best for the different pages on YouTube, which is pretty awesome. In addition to that, they also help you, come up with video ideas, help you optimize your videos for discovery and all of that. But they have over 90 different tools that'll help you with your channel. You can check them out at tubebuddy.com/Nimmin. Or of course, I'll get a link to that down in the description. And this stream is brought to you by StreamYard, which is the live streaming platform that I use to live stream this every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And the reason that I use StreamYard is because it's easy to add graphics to the screen, like you can see right here, right? So I can just kind of rotate through, whatever graphics that I want to add on the screen, and they'll pop up here. In addition to that, they also make it easy to bring guests onto the stream. They make it easy for me to add like videos here or, graphics into here. They're recording all of this in the background, so I can have that as a replay without it having to tax my computer with recording happening right here. And they run everything in the cloud. So if I have a problem with my stream, it's really easy to recover, come back into the stream without losing the audience, which is fantastic. So you can try that out as well at StreamYard.com. Or of course, I'm going to link to that down in the description as well. And Chantel is dropping the links to TubeBuddy and to StreamYard in the chat right now. So make sure that you check that out. Thank you, Chantel, for doing that. So before we get started, I just want to give some shout outs really quick. Brad, Magic Flying Potato, what's going on? Daniel Patel, hope that you are doing fantastic, my friend. Podcast Creators Hub, nice to see you in here. D Nimmin, also in the house right now. Chantel Hills, what's going on? I'm worth it. Nice to see you here in the chat today. Creator Classroom, as always, nice to see you hanging out here as well. So Blue Eyed Tech, what's going on? Hope that you're doing great. So as we get rolling here, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to jump into the forum so we can go ahead and start, answering some questions and seeing what we have here. So the very first question that we have is from One Step. One Step, actually, you know what, Doug? I got that option now for the moderation. And let's see here. I can't upgrade. That's interesting. So I can remove the standard. Yeah, we'll figure that out later. So The very first question is from One Step. They make fighting games. The goal of the channel is to turn their skills and knowledge into a fun and profitable career. And speaking of this, so just as a quick heads up for everybody, I put out a live stream yesterday. Before I answer this question, I just want to, kind of add some clarity to some stuff really quick. So I put out a live stream yesterday talking about Section 230 and how it could negatively, impact YouTube. And the comments for that were pretty interesting. So a lot of people, kind of understood what was going on. But there are some other people that were in the comment section saying things about just things that weren't really related to the subject matter. So if you are not familiar with what's going on there, basically what it is it's kind of it is a Supreme Court case that could essentially impact how YouTube is allowed to recommend content to people, to where they might not be able to recommend content to people depending on the outcome of this case. So I really recommend that you take a look at that when you get the chance. It's the last piece of content that I uploaded on the channel, so make sure that you check that out, because as content creators, of course, you should make sure that you are informed, especially for things like this that are happening. So make sure that you check that out. But I just wanted to make sure to spread awareness about that really quick here at the beginning of the stream, so that we can, continue forward. But the question is, let's see here. It says, my dude, hope you're doing well. First, tell us everything you can about shorts. I've been super aggressive in shorts lately, and it's been fun, easier, and even getting better views. Now, my real question is, how many shorts per day is too many, too less? I've been doing 2 to 3 on days that I don't do long form. It's sustainable for me, but I'm wondering what's the limit? Is there one? And what do you recommend when it comes to uploading long form and shorts? Thanks for all you do. So when it comes to the limit of how many you can do per day, I really don't know if there is a limit. Hopefully, Renee will come in here later and help, kind of add some clarity to that. But in terms of me knowing an actual limit, as of right now, I'm not sure of a very specific limit. I haven't ran across anything about that. But one thing that I do want to tell you, I'm actually in the process of listening through it myself, because it's a really long interview. But Colin and Samir, they did an interview with YouTube staff. Actually, one of the people is Renee is actually a part of this, and also Todd, who runs shorts over at YouTube. And so far, it's pretty interesting. So I recommend everybody check that out as well, so that you can see, so you can get from YouTube the details, about YouTube Shorts, how they work, things to keep in mind, and that kind of stuff as well. So I'm also going through that myself, but I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes for the interview. So, definitely make sure that you check that out, and that will help you kind of answer some of those questions. But in terms of a limit, I'm not sure as of this moment in time. Next question that we have is from Ernesto Esparza. Ernesto, hope you're doing great, man. Says they do gaming content. The goal is to reach 50 subscribers. And the question is, what viewers do I make more new videos every month? What viewers do I make more new videos every month? There might be a typo in here, because I'm not sure what the question is. So maybe you're saying, what videos do you make every month? Yeah, I'm not sure what the question is there. If you're trying to uncover like what videos that you should be making for your viewers every month. Hey, David, what's going on, man? Welcome to the chat. What's going on, Ronnie? If you're trying to figure out what videos to make for your audience every month, first off, just think about, the type of content that they come to you for already, and try to think of something that would make sense based on the content that you've previously uploaded to your YouTube channel, so that you can make sure that you are serving that particular audience with the type of content that they come to your channel for, right? So when it comes to, deciding on the content that you make, of course, you can do some research and you can figure out, things that people are looking for, so that you can use that as kind of a gauge in terms of the popularity of a topic that you might be considering. Depending on the approach that you take, you can also try to come up with something unique, as long as it would be something that you think would resonate with your particular audience. But if you're just getting started, one of the things that is a typically good path to follow is that you just, hop into like YouTube, go to their search bar and start typing in things about because you do gaming content, start typing in things about the game that you play, and YouTube is going to start showing you all the different things that people are searching for. So when you have that information, then you can say, okay, well, these are the types of things that people are interested in this game. So based on the things that I want to make right now, what I'm currently offering on my YouTube channel, the direction that I plan to go with my channel, the goals that I have for my channel, and so on, what would be the piece of content that I would need to make, right? Or that I should make for my audience. Let's see here. Next up on our list, we're on number 3 already. We're moving. Love it. Love it. Not even supposed to be live yet. I'm not supposed to be live for another 3 minutes, 2 minutes. King CMC TV says they do daily content. The type of channel is gaming. The goal of the channel is to monetize. And the question is, I do live streaming once. I end my stream. I have the option to edit it to save a copy, and the original will still be saved as a live stream. The copy part will be an uploaded version. If I edit the YouTube copy video version, change titles and thumbnail, will that be considered the same video, or should I just edit the video as a live stream on YouTube and lose the video chat? I would just do the video chat. That's actually what I do. So on mine, for the live streams where I don't start it quickly, then what I'll typically do for like my new segments and stuff, what I'll typically do there is I will go in and I will trim off that little bit of dead space on the front. And when I do that, of course, it causes the live stream to disappear. And but then I just save it, right there on the spot. Now, I do know that some people have issues with doing that. And when they hit the save button, then it automatically will save a copy instead of the stream. I've never ran into this personally, but this is something that channel members have mentioned to me last week, actually, at the end of it was this week, actually, on Monday. And I have an email out for that, so I can get some clarity on what's going on there as well for, from YouTube. Next up, we've got Samples and Tests is the name of the channel. They upload one time per week. They do variety content. The goal of the channel is that the goals are always changing. Right now, it's just to learn, have fun, and eventually make some money. Question is,
if you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
as I'm writing this, I'm watching your new segment. Oh, there you go. As I'm writing this, I'm watching your new segment on the Google v. Gonzalez. Are you planning on making a dedicated video with legal and tech experts as guests? Because I'm not a legal expert, but some of your language made it sound like it was legislation and not a court case, with terms like if this passes. Also, I believe anyone can file a brief with the Supreme Court. Again, I'm not a legal expert, so I'm not sure, and I have no idea if doing so will put the process in havoc, but overall, thanks for the info. So if you go to that video, at the very top of the comment section, I pinned a link to a video that Legal Eagle put out. Currently, it's got almost 1 million views on his channel. But basically, that particular video, he's a lawyer. So he understands, all aspects of what's going on with that. So I really recommend that you check out the video that I have pinned there, because I put that there as the resource because I'm not a lawyer, right? So for me, I'm like, compiling this information, I'm putting it all together, and I'm like, all this legal speak. And like you're saying, I'm not sure of the exact, way to kind of, like in the legal world, every way that you use a word matters. And because of that, that's why I made that disclaimer in that piece of content that I'm not, a lawyer, because I knew that I would, kind of jumble it up that way. But that's also why I have that pinned at the top of the comment section there from the Legal Eagle video, so that you can check his out and, and hear it actually in legal speak, but also kind of dumbed down so that, so that we can understand things a little bit better as well. Next up on our list here, and if you're just joining the stream, what we are doing is we are talking about YouTube related stuff, just getting moving here, and pretty much everything that we are talking about is coming from the form that is down in the description of this stream right now. So make sure that you, if you have a question that you want answered, make sure that you do check out the form and put your question in there. It's free to do so. So, make sure that if you do have a question, you put it down there. Blue Eyed Tech says they do tech reviews. The goal of the channel is to grow a community and help people make buying decisions with tech while hopefully making an income doing what I love. And the question is, good morning, Nick. Good morning. Says, hope you're doing well. I just wanted to know if there's an upload schedule that is optimal for growth, or does it just depend on the topic or the content that's being made? Thank you for taking the time to answer my question. Yeah, so when it comes to your upload schedule, it really comes down to the type of content that you make, the audience, and like how good the videos are too. Like, some people can upload once a month, but the response that they get is so good in terms of people enjoying their content, clicking on it at a high rate, sharing it a lot, things like that. And that one upload a month, that's all they need to do. Other people, they will upload like once every 2 or 3 months. And because they have, some external things that they can kind of share that content with, then, that will end up driving some initial traffic there as well, plus whatever YouTube does. And then that will get that content off the ground. So, it really comes down to, what it is that you're trying to do, how aggressive you are as well. Because, of course, if you're uploading more content and it's all quality content, like once you figure out that standard threshold to where you're like, okay, this is my line. So if it doesn't, if it's not up to this line, then I'm not going to publish it. But as long as it's up to this line, it's good, and I'll put it out. The more of those that you do, the more chances you're giving yourself for, one, learning information about how people are responding to what it is that you're doing, so that you can modify, things as you're moving along quickly. It helps you quickly build up your skill sets just in general. And in addition to that, it gives you a lot more content to put out there for people to binge watch and things like that. So, if you had like all the time in the world and you were super efficient, then in that case, you could do like daily content. But if you're like, hey, I just want to, make one really good video per week, you can do that as well. As long as people are responding, positively to the content, then that one video a week can be enough. Let's see here. Demons Row. Thank you for the super chat, man. Says, would love for you to do a full video on how to properly fair use review a video the right way to have no issues. So I've actually had that request in the past, and I haven't done that video, and I'm probably not. And the reason that I'm probably not is because there's a lot at stake there. And if somebody were to either misinterpret, how I said it, or if they were to just get a strike anyway or something like that, then in that particular case, it would kind of fall back on me. So because of that, I've always avoided that particular video because it is a legal thing, and fair use is, it's a defense. It's not, a law within itself. It's a defense. So, because of that, I've intentionally avoided that video, because the ripple on that, if I made a video and let's say, 20,000 people watch that video, and, out of that 20,000 people, let's say 5,000 of those people take the information and they apply it. Out of those people, let's say, you have 100 of them that, do something incorrectly, or they just end up getting a strike anyway, or whatever that they have to dispute, then, they're going to be sending emails to me about it and all of that. So that's kind of, why I've avoided that one. Monkey D Wade says, did a rebrand while my subs have been going up, my views are going down. Maybe I niched down too much. So it probably wasn't the rebrand in terms of, if you change your channel name, stuff like that, that's probably not it. It would come down more to the content itself than it would be like your channel name, logo graphics and stuff like that. So what I recommend that you do is go and look at what was happening on your channel and your YouTube analytics. You can go in and you can compare date ranges. So what you can do is you can say, okay, while everything was thriving, this is what my channel looked like. This is where all my traffic was coming from. I was getting, tons of suggested traffic, tons of homepage traffic, or maybe tons of search traffic, or maybe I had like 3 videos that were just crushing it in search. But then now if I compare that to what's happening on my channel now, you can literally see the lines, with your traffic sources when you do this. But you can say, okay, now if I compare what's happening on my channel now, maybe I'm, not getting as much suggested traffic, or maybe some of those search videos fell off, or maybe the ones that YouTube is recommending highly through their browse features, maybe, those aren't getting as much traffic now. So therefore, the things that were feeding the channel, the videos that were feeding the channel, maybe they're not, pushing as strong right now. So they might come back, or you just might need to make, more content that ends up, doing as well as those videos. That kind of helps, move the channel, forward. Let's see here. Next up on the list is Synergy Gaming. Synergy Gaming says they have a gaming channel. The goal of the channel is to become monetized and have YouTube as a full-time career one day. The question is, for my shorts, I get up to 1,000 to 2,000 views, and then they never get more than that. Is it because of my low sub count, or YouTube doesn't want to show that short anymore? For my shorts, I get 1,000 to 2,000 views, and they never get more than that. Is it because of my low sub count? It's not because of your low sub count, and it's not that YouTube doesn't want to show the short anymore. So when it comes to YouTube, the system itself, it doesn't have opinions, right? Basically, what you're doing is it's a computer. So because, it's servers and all that good stuff. But basically, like when it comes to, YouTube not wanting to show your content anymore, that's not how the whole thing works. So it doesn't, like the system doesn't have any opinions on your content. That, it's watching your content, so to speak, and it's identifying things in your content, and it's doing that for context to better understand, what the videos are about, so it can serve it to the right people and all of those things. But it doesn't look at your video and say like, oh, this is a bad video, people probably won't like this, right? So instead, what the system does is it leans on the feedback that it gets when people are interacting with the content. So what that means is, let's say that you publish a short today, and YouTube is showing it, in the shorts feed to people, and people are like, there's some, initially people people are enjoying it. They're watching it a lot. Maybe they're interacting with it in the comments or, giving it thumbs up, those sorts of things. Maybe some of those people are going in and they're looking at your short shelf on your page and they're watching a handful of additional shorts, things like that. So you're able to stack up the additional watch time, keeping viewers engaged and all that stuff. And then as they start showing it to more and more people, let's say people start responding to it a little bit less and then a little bit less and then a little bit less. And then as that happens, then that feedback that they're getting from the people that they're showing the content to, as that starts dropping off in terms of their interest, then the system will pull back on showing your videos to more people. And instead it will prioritize other content that is keeping that group of people engaged, that is keeping those people, interacting more with the platform, watching more videos and so on. Rapid Repair DIY. What's going on? Hope you're doing awesome. It says 23 years as a licensed contractor, now 3 months on YouTube. Our daily shorts would get okay views and then flatline quickly. Now the previous shorts are starting to take off again. Any thoughts? I'm actually noticing a little bit of a lift in some old shorts as well. But when it comes to the previous shorts are starting to take off again, my guess is, with people starting to give comment replies and things like that with shorts. I don't know in terms of what they're doing internally, with YouTube shorts, but when it comes to, them starting to take off again, how that would typically work, like let's say that it was a piece of normal video content, is YouTube takes a video that, people had, in the larger groups that they were showing it to, they started responding to it less. So therefore YouTube started prioritizing other content, like I was actually just talking about with the other short question. And then they end up, still testing it, giving it impressions, here and there. And then they end up finding another audience that, that do respond to that content. And then they start showing it to those groups of people. And then that can cause, videos to take off out of nowhere. That can cause shorts to take off again out of nowhere. So that type of thing is really common on YouTube in terms of some content. This doesn't happen to every video, of course, but some content, even content that you publish, like if you publish a video and right out of the gate, you're like, oh man, I wish this would have done better. I expected so much more out of this. In some cases, all of that will end up coming, down the road. It just sucks, initially, and it's going to take a little bit of time to, teach the system who's a good fit for that particular video. But that's like what you're dealing with is a really common thing when it comes to YouTube about, publishing content, it does okay for a bit and then it kind of goes into a lull and then they find another audience for it. And then it'll kind of, go through that audience and it'll have, a life cycle through that group of people that they're showing it to. But another thing that's cool with that is in some cases, what can happen is you can have where, at least for video content, you can have it to where, they can nail that audience and those videos where you thought were previously dead might end up being like primary traffic drivers to your channel. Like it's crazy how those sorts of things work. But hey, really quick, Renee Ritchie, hey, thanks for sharing this, Renee. Says feeds don't have impressions. So if you don't have enough regular engagement, you may get a seed audience to test your short. It shows up as views. If it's competitive, it'll grow. If not, it'll stop. So basically, that comes down to the good old fashioned, way that everything works on YouTube. And that is, if people are responding at a high rate, then, the system will favor that content. If the people don't respond to it that well, then, people are not people, but YouTube will then, prioritize the content that does keep people, the most engaged. Let's see here. So next up on our list, we have, let's see. Okay, we're on number 7 already. See, we're moving through these. So if you are just joining us, we are talking about all things related to YouTube. And there's a form down in the description where people are putting their questions and I'm answering them in the order that they are received. So if you are just joining us, I do want to let you know that we have, a lot of, different things that we talk about here during the stream, all kinds of different things that we deal with as content creators. There's a lot of questions about getting views and subscribers and stuff like that. There's also a lot of additional questions about other things that we deal with as a content creator. So, I do encourage you to hang out for a little bit because 1, you can get your question in the form and get it answered on the show today. 2 is that, there might be somebody else that's asking a question that you didn't really know that you had until you hear it. And then you're like, oh yeah, I wondered that too. Right. So definitely make sure that you, check that out for a bit. Check this out for a bit. But the next channel is Tara and Katrina. Tara and Katrina does daily content. They do Roblox music videos and edits. The goal of the channel is to hit monetization and be part of the Roblox creators community. And the question is, I made a music video to a very popular Korean song called Moonlight Sunrise, and it was trending, got 1,000 views views, but only 1 subscriber. Do you know why this could be? So first off, actually, I'll finish your question. So the music video was great, and I got lots of positive comments. Thanks for reading my question and taking the time to look at it. Your content's so informative and has helped my channel a lot. So thank you for the kind words. So when it comes to, generating subscribers from content, some content, of course, will generate subscribers at a higher rate. Some videos will generate subscribers at a higher rate. You can go and look at your own channel for this. And what you'll see is that some of the videos you publish, those will convert people, at a very high rate. And then other videos that you publish, like, it'll seem like a ghost town in comparison. So, this can happen, in terms of a channel as a whole, to where, when people are coming, let's say, for example, the only thing that you make is how-to content. And this is a common problem for automotive channels, so I'm going to just target them. So let's say you're making how-to content for an automotive channel. And as part of that content, let's say you're talking about, Hondas, you're talking about Toyotas, you're talking about Fords, you're talking about BMWs, you're talking about Teslas, you're talking about, just all kinds of different cars and how to fix all these little problems that people are having with their cars. So the problem with content like that is that, if somebody, comes in and they search for like how to fix a carburetor on a Ford Ranger, I don't know why I picked Ford Ranger, but if they're like, hey, how to change a carburetor on a Ford Ranger, then in that particular case, what can happen is they're just looking to fix that problem. They don't care about subscribing to the channel. They're probably not going to be coming back, anymore. They just watch that one video, solve their problem, and then they moved on from there. So in your particular case, like one thing that could happen is, maybe they enjoyed that song. Maybe they thought the song was cool. Maybe they thought the video was cool, but it wasn't something that made them feel like, oh yeah, I need to subscribe to this. I want more of this. I got to make sure I'm checking it out. Or because you did say that you do Roblox, you do music videos, and you do edits. So another thing that could happen is you could have pulled them in from that music video, and then they go to your YouTube channel to see what else you have to offer. And then they find out like, oh, hey, they don't have a lot of content like this. So because of that, maybe they really enjoyed that content. That's where you get those comments from and things like that. But maybe once they got to your channel, they're like, oh, okay, this isn't actually what I thought it was. So I'm just going to enjoy that video, and then I'm just going to go watch something else. Right. So, so when it comes to, people subscribing, people definitely subscribe for tons of different reasons, but, making a channel more subscribable is definitely something that you can do. So like, for example, if we take that automotive scenario, and of course you can apply this to you as well, depending on the type of content that you make for everybody here. But like, if you take that automotive scenario, what can happen is, let's say that you have that channel and, instead of it being to where they're fixing Hondas and they're fixing Toyotas and they're fixing Fords and Chevys and Teslas and BMWs and like everything, if it was a channel that only worked on like, Ford pickup trucks, then in that case, it would become a lot more subscribable, because then if somebody had a Ford pickup truck, they could be like, oh, this is a resource to where if I have any problems at all with my truck, then I'll be able to figure out how to fix it here, right? Then that becomes instantly more subscribable compared to like, oh, they've got like 3 videos on how to fix my truck and I don't need those other 2, so I'll just look for it again if I have that problem, right? So you can definitely make channels more subscribable, and that's also why, people recommend that you niche down as well. In addition to that, it's also important if you are trying to get people to, subscribe more. If you ask people to subscribe, it's effective. People, will subscribe, and you don't have to cram it down their throat. You can just work it in naturally in your content somewhere where there's a lull or where you have just a little bit of space to say it. Just mention, hey, I put out videos like this every X and X. So if you are, enjoying this, remember to subscribe. And by doing that, you're not, interrupting the viewer experience. It's just a moment that you take to mention it while something else is happening or starting, or while they're, if you're doing gaming content like you are, then in that case, they're waiting for something to load or something like that. When you drop those little reminders in, it takes the people that might not have been even thinking about it because they're not content creators or whatever. So instead, they're sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm going to sit here and, I'm just sitting here like enjoying this content. But when you hit them with that reminder to subscribe, then what can happen is they're like, oh yeah, you know what? I am enjoying this. So let me hit that button to subscribe. That's the idea. Demondro says, can you talk a little bit about moving to Thailand? Did you YouTube first, or did you start there? Is it better there? Is it hard to get equipment, etc.? So when it comes to here locally, you can get most of what you need here. I mean, most of what I have has been sourced from here or from Amazon. Keep in mind that electronics, due to import tax, can, you're paying a higher fee than I'm just going to say should. So you're paying a higher fee than you should pay just based on, import tax and stuff. But you can get get most of what you need here. There are little nuanced things that are difficult. Like, for example, at one point in time, I was looking for like sound panels, right? Like I can get, like sound panels that I ordered off of Amazon, but I was looking specifically for like, like rock wool, sound panels that you can get. And you get some really cool stuff like in the States. But here I had like, I couldn't find anybody that was like willing to build them or anything like that. So the only solution that I would have had was to have, one person build the frames and then get the rock wool from somewhere else and then take it somewhere else and do the fabric or, put it all together myself. And because of that, when the rock wool, option was there and I was sitting there trying to, figure out, where I could, get everything, that was just one of those nuanced things that was like, yeah, this is going to be a little bit more difficult. Now they do have other solutions, for like sound treatment and stuff like that. So it's not like you can't get an option, but sometimes you just can't get the option that you want. In terms of it being better here, there's positives and negatives with everything, like when it comes to here, one of the things that, that is nice is that the people here are typically pretty awesome. And depending on the areas that you live, the people can be like really awesome. So there's some, there's some areas to where, if you go there, the people are cool, but, there's also some pretty, rough, I'm not going to say dangerous, but just, people that are there for the sake of, trying to, get what they can from tourists, right? And then other areas, people are just mostly cool. So as long as you're living in the area that's mostly cool, or you just understand like, hey, some of these people are going to be this way. If I'm in one of those like really, super high, tourist areas where, they kind of prey on tourists in some circumstances, then in that particular case, as long as you know that, when you're coming in, then it can be okay. But in terms of me personally, I love the lifestyle. I love my routine that I do every day. It's pretty boring, to be honest with you, in terms of my day-to-day life. But, it's what I prefer. So because of that, I can say, for me, I really enjoy it here. I love, all aspects of my lifestyle here. The only thing that I don't like is right now we have, technically it's been going for a while. But we have burn season right now. And with burn season where I am, because we're surrounded by mountains, what can happen is where the farmers burn in like all over this country and the surrounding countries, it ends up being like a trap for the smoke. So because of that, what ends up happening is the air quality can get really bad. So I've got like an air purifier over here. I've got air purifiers in all the other rooms. And because of that, you have to have that, added level of, just awareness about that kind of stuff. But that happens typically for a short time out of the year. It's usually like 2 to 3 months, usually one bad month. But this year, it's actually been going on for quite some time, unfortunately. But hey, if you're like considering moving here, just hit me up on Twitter. Just shoot me like a DM or shoot me an email through the email on my About Me page, and I can give you recommendations and give you like additional information on just things to keep in mind and things like that, because it's an awesome place. Highly recommend it. But there's definitely things that you gotta know or keep in mind in order to make sure that you're just making the best call for, what it is that you're, trying to do. Captain Irish says, started on Fortnite and grew to 18,000 subscribers. Congratulations. The mode I was doing died out and killed my channel. I lost 1,000 subscribers and I get no views anymore. Can I fix it or should I start a new channel? It's frustrating. So when the mode I was doing died. Oh, okay. So for example, like let's say you're doing like Battle Royale, and I'm saying that one's not it because, that's still there. But like, let's say that you're doing that and then they're like, hey, we don't offer that anymore. So because of that, you had to like stop making that content. If that's what happened, then in that particular case, you're going to have to build up again in terms of making content that is for the audience that you're trying to reach, that is going to, like one thing you can do, you have 18,000 subscribers. The very first thing that I would do if I had your channel is I would start asking in your community feed, I would start asking them what it is that they play. Like, hey, what modes do you play? And I would ask that, a few different ways, a few different times in your community feed, and then they're going to give you the feedback. And then you can say, okay, like these are the ones that people are typically playing right now, so let me make some content on those and see how people respond to those. That would be the approach that I would take. So then you're actually using the feedback from the people that are interacting with the channel already. And then you're going to, start making content for them as long as it's in alignment with, the content that you want to make as well. Hope that made sense. Let's see here. So next up on the list here, we have, but yeah, you'll be able to recover that. What you have to do though is you just have to make sure that you are, figuring it out through your, audience, using your community feed, that you're using that information. And I would also hop on Google Trends as well, and I would look for the different modes in Google Trends, and I would compare them against each other. And when you do that, that's going to also let you know like what modes are more popular and what things that people are the most interested in right now, so you can hop on those things. So really quick, Brandon O'Brien says, how important are tags? So tags are like the least important thing when it comes to, optimizing your videos. The box is still there, so still use it. As soon as it becomes like 0% important, then YouTube will remove the box. But as of right now, that box is still there. So until like YouTube publicly states that that's like the least important thing about the information that you give YouTube about your video. But it does still do something, because one of the things that they mention is to, put like misspellings of your channel and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if you put misspellings and those will help, then why wouldn't it help, with the other things that you put in there? So, so just still use the box, just make it relevant to the video. So, you wouldn't want to put a bunch of general tags in there. Instead, just make it relevant to, to the video, but just use it until they take the box away. But just know that it's not as important anymore. The things that really matter on YouTube, the things that you really need to focus on, like when it comes to like, hey, I have all these different options, what I need to make sure that I'm like dialing in, make sure that you're focusing first on the video topics, then you're figuring out how to get people to click on those topics in terms of the thumbnails that you're making and the titles that you're putting together. And then of course the video content itself, and then the methods that you use to try to get people to watch additional content. Focus on those things, because those are all about the viewer experience, right? So the idea is like the second your content shows up on somebody's homepage or mobile feed or suggested next to another video, and they're like, oh, this is something I don't want to watch, click, then they have that great experience with your content, and YouTube detects it. And then YouTube will start, showing your content to more people like those people that are really enjoying your content. So because of that, use tags, because the box is still there, but don't spend like hours on them, right? So TubeBuddy's a sponsor of the stream. They actually have a tagging tool to where you can just go in, it'll just recommend tags based on your title, and you can just go in and you can just be like, yep, this is relevant, this is relevant, this is relevant, this isn't relevant, this is relevant, this isn't relevant, and then just get on with the video. But I would spend most of your time working on the video content itself, but also the thumbnail and the title, because that is going to be the only context that people have before they click on your content. Like, when you have a homepage full of videos, or you're sitting there going through your mobile feed, like that's all you have in terms of like, hey, is this something that I might want to watch? So what I recommend that you do when you are dialing in that effort, on your thumbnail and title, is just start defining stuff, right? So when it comes to your thumbnail, instead of being like, hey, it only needs to be bright, think, okay, what about this will help the people that I'm trying to reach understand that this video is something that they might be interested in, right? Because it's all about them, right? Like we make the stuff, and then, the viewers enjoy the stuff. So because of that, what you have to make sure that you're thinking about is like, okay, with this particular thumbnail, what about it? If this shows up on a homepage against a bunch of other videos, what about this thumbnail is something that will help people recognize that this video is something that they might be interested in? And then from there, they're going to drop down to the title. So you want to make sure that, you write, a really good, compelling title. So what a lot of content creators do, and this is, the approach that I recommend that you take as long as your content is appropriate for it, is they will come up with their title and thumbnail first. So it's like, hey, this is what I want to make the video about, right? This is the thing. And then from there, they'll say, okay, well, if that's the topic, how would I actually present this? And the reason that they go through this exercise is first, because they are verifying that their idea is something that they can present with only an image and a title, right? In an effective way. And then from there, okay, so, how can I present this? And then once they know that, then when they're making the content itself, they know the shots to get, they know how to open the video based on, or how to start the video based on how they've, the thumbnail that they've decided to make and the title that they're going to use, so that they can kind of reinforce all of that information. And it helps create just a much better viewer experience all the way through. If you start, defining your thumbnail and title first, before you actually make your video content. Let's see here. Sterling Trucking Delivers. Thank you for the super chat. Says, I really appreciate your channel, Mr. Nick. I keep YouTube as purely a hobby, but your info and insights are so valuable. Maybe one day I'll get monetized, but I'm keeping it organic and slow growth. Thank you. My pleasure. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content. You know, when it comes to YouTube, you know, doing it as a hobby is perfectly fine. Like, I know in the language that I use, like I'll typically, you know, mention, you know, things about people, you know, wanting to go full time and, you know, stuff like that. But I know a lot of people also do YouTube as a hobby, and that's totally cool. And it can also, you know, become a nice way to where it's like, hey, you know, I have like, you know, my life, but then I have, you know, YouTube that I do as a side thing. And then if I get into the partner program, then I can start getting an income, you know, from that as well, which can help, you know, maybe it's just like fun money, or maybe it's, you know, investment money, or maybe it's, you know, money for, you know, stuff that you want to build onto the house, or, you know, anything else. So it's just, you know, some people, you know, that are hobbyists with YouTube, you know, they'll just use it for, you know, those types of things. So, so I'm glad that you're enjoying the content, and I'm glad that you're, you know, sharing your experience as a truck driver, you know, with people on YouTube, as a hobby. 86 Boxing says, hello, Nick. When will we see you in one of those YouTube boxing events? Not going to happen. I would just get beat down, as you can tell, right? Like, if you've ever met me at a conference, right? Like I'm definitely not in fighting condition. Trippin' Outlink says, still doing my best to grow. I just want to say wise words from you, and thank you for going live today. Also too, thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the super chat there as well. Demon Dro says, I hit 200,000. Congratulations to you. Did this just happen? I hit 200,000. It's been 3 years. I passed everybody in my niche, which is motorcycle clubs. How do I broaden out to grow more? I'm growing now more than ever, but I want faster results. What would you do? In your particular case, like, I would actually need to like look at your channel, because you actually have like momentum, everything's going. So basically what you need to do in your case is start like dialing all of that in, right? Start dialing it in, start understanding the audience better, start making sure, if you're not doing this already, that you're using the grouping feature in your YouTube analytics, and that you're actually, you know, intentionally going through the process of saying, okay, I'm going to make a group about, you know, this type of content that we put out. I'm going to make another group about this type of content. So for example, like if I go to your channel right now, let me just look at the topics just on a few videos here. So this very first one that I see is like a warning video, right? So then like one of those things that you could test is like, okay, on my videos where I put like, you know, warning, where I'm warning people, that would be one group. And then all the videos where I'm warning people, I would put them into there. Another one you would do, let's see here, the dark story of Myrtle Bike Week. So then in that case, you could also have, you know, other groups that you do and compare against each other. So if you're going to different like motorcycle shows, then in that particular case, what you could do, like, let's say you're going to Myrtle Beach for this one, and then let's say you go to like Easy Rider. I think they're still doing that in like Chillicothe. Then in that case, you could say, okay, well, I'm going to compare all of our Chillicothe or all of our Easy Rider videos against all of our Myrtle Bike Week videos, and we're going to see which ones generate more subscribers, which ones generate more revenue, which ones generate more engagement, which ones generate just more view counts overall. And we're going to start, you know, really getting a really good understanding of the content that we need to make in all of these different scenarios in order to give, you know, the viewers what it is that they want. Because I see here with like your view counts and stuff, like you're doing great, you know, like on your view counts. So I would definitely start using that if you're not doing that already, because that can, you know, that can really help you understand like the nuances of what it is that you're doing. Other things that you can do is like in your case, because you are, you know, you're getting a lot of data quickly with your channel. So you can also use the grouping feature to compare what it is that you're doing in your thumbnails. So for example, you have this one here where like thousands of bikers just showed up at the Texas Capitol and left everybody stunned. So like that one, you know, you have a bunch of people in the thumbnail. You got one down here with 2 people in the thumbnail. You've got some where you don't have any people in the thumbnail. So, you know, doing those types of things as well to help you better understand, like, okay, typically when we use, you know, more than 2 people in the thumbnail, or we use 2 people in the thumbnail, we have a higher click-through rate on those on average than we do if we're just using one person or if we're not showing any people. But really digging in to the analytics side of it to just better understand your audience. And then by doing that, it's going to help you know the exact content to make, how to present the content and all that in order to, you know, better reach and resonate with the people that you're trying to, you know, connect with. Other little details as well is you can also use that for the specific words that you're using in your titles. So if you have certain, you know, words that you use in a, for, on the compelling side of things, or just words that you use to connect with your, audience. So for example, maybe like bikers versus riders, or bikers versus motorcycle riders, or, things like that in your titles. You can even compare those. And then over time, you'll be able to start to paint a picture of, like, hey, when we do these things, people respond at a higher rate, so we should do more of those, right? So that's how to do it. But hey, congratulations though for first crossing 200,000 subscribers, because that's not an easy feat. So high five and fist bump to you for that. Everybody's give them a clap on that one. And that you surpassed everybody in your niche, which is motorcycle clubs. So that's another huge win right there. So congratulations all the way around on all of that stuff. Let's see here. So next up on our list here, we have, oops, let me go into here really quick. Not logged into that.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
All right, so let's see here. Next up on the list, we did Tara and Katrina already. So then next up, we've got Frisian Effects. They do educational content. The goal is to promote euphoric goosebumps or chills, known as Frisian. The question is, as a medical professional, do you think I should have a disclaimer posted in my description and my videos if I'm giving advice? Yeah, I definitely would. Because, if you're giving advice as a medical professional, then yeah, you should have that listed. Another thing as well, if you're a medical professional, then YouTube actually has a certification that you can go through, to where they can actually say, it's not an endorsement per se, but it's a certification to where it makes you like a legitimate medical channel. So if you would qualify for that, that might be something that you would want to look into also. A Tale of 1,000 Miles, thanks for the super chat, says, how do I know if my channel name is too broad? Is that putting people off? I get lots of views, but I'm only at 150 subs. So when it comes to channel names, it's really it can be helpful to have a channel name that represents what it is that you're doing. If you're active on YouTube or you're active in other communities by that same name, the reason for that is because okay, let's say for example, 2 comments above yours, we have video for bosses in the house, right? So with her, one of the things that you can see is her channel's video for bosses. So because of that, it's okay, well, for the people that identify themselves, as bosses, or the people that are bosses, then in that case, it's oh, maybe, this is going to be a channel that could help me, in some way with video. So her name just kind of suggests, what it is that she does. Where yours, A Tale of 1,000 Miles, it sounds interesting, right? It sounds like maybe you're doing a lot of storytelling, things like that, which may or may not be what it is that you do. But that's kind of the vibe that your name gives. So it can be advantageous to have a name that says, that suggests what it is that you do. But it's also okay to have a name that doesn't. And when you have a name that doesn't, then in that particular case, the content will do all the work for you. But it's just one of those little tweaks that you can do to add it more clear, only if you're active in communities around the things that you talk about, right? But if you're not, then it doesn't really matter in that case. Just like in my case, right? If I'm on YouTube and I'm, interacting, in the community, you'll see my name, but my name doesn't give any context to what it is that I do, right? So because of that, I can't go and leave a comment somewhere and then have people in that comment section be like, oh, they talk about YouTube, so let me go check them out, because it's just a name to them, right? If they are not familiar with my channel already, then it's just some other random person, commenting on a YouTube video. But even if it's a YouTuber that sees it, if they haven't interacted with my content before, even them, it'd be like, oh, and they would just gloss right over it, compared to if it was Nick Nimmin's YouTube tips, right? Then it would be like, oh, YouTube tips, let me click on this and see, what's going on there. Let's see here. Next up on the list here, we've got, we're on number 9 already. This is good. So next up, we've got Triathlon with Coach John. Triathlon with Coach John does triathlon education. The goal of the channel is long-term income. And the question is, do you think cutting clips into shorts from older videos is a viable way to get more views on the long-form video? Yes, absolutely. So on my old All Our Questions channel, the one that I haven't uploaded to in like 6 years. On that particular channel, I did, when that sampling thing just came out, I did a daily short sample uploading 0 content to that, 0 additional content. It was just cutting out a clip and then publishing that clip with the direct link back to the video. I think it was 26,000 views that I generated, just on that, on a channel that's dead, like completely dead. Like I haven't uploaded to that channel in like 6 or 7 years. So, on a channel that's dead like that I was still able to generate, those types of views. It's definitely something that you can, leverage to get in front of more people. Let's see here. A Nomad Overseas is our next question. Hey, what's up, Mike? They upload every other day. The type of channel is travel related. The goal of the channel is to eventually get monetized and also drive additional traffic towards my website. The question is, do you believe it's worthwhile to output faceless videos? Do you feel there would be a penalty further down the line to also do live streams on the same channel? So there's tons of channels on YouTube that don't have their face attached to them. And, a lot of them do fantastic. A lot of them also don't. Some people will do faceless content because it's just easier to do. Other people will do faceless content because they just don't want to be known. They want to maintain their privacy. And then, other people do faceless content, but they do it in a way to where they're like, I'm actually, wanting to do this thing. So because of that, I'm going to make sure that, the type of faceless content that I do is something that, that has a high potential for, the channel doing well, so I can make ad revenue and all those types of things. So because of that, it's going to come down to your approach there. But one of the things in terms of doing live streams is, if you have a faceless channel, then, when you do start doing live streams, it might be a little bit like awkward for the viewers if you're going to be on camera. But if you're just like showing people stuff, like let's say, for example, you are using, like your camera and you're just kind of showing people, let's say, what could I do here? Let's say that you are making tea, right? And you're like, hey, you got your overhead camera and you're like, hey, we're, putting this tea in this thing and we're, doing that. And that's like what your videos are. In that case, you could still do that live, to where it's like, hey, I'm going to go live. And then, they would get to see the whole process, unedited, things like that. You could answer questions and you would still not need to show your face. So depending on what it is that you're doing with not showing yourself on camera, you can absolutely do that. But just keep in mind, when it comes to the connection side of things, which is a big part of YouTube, that you can still get that without, a face. Like, for example, if you go look at Kurzgesagt, which is the example that I used for this one, like people are crazy about that channel. Just awesome stuff. If you look at Lucas the Spider, technically Lucas would be the face, but, in terms of a human face, there's not a human face for the channel. If you look at music, right, like Lo-Fi Girl, the community that's amassed around the music over there without, showing a face, technically the face could be Lo-Fi Girl herself, right? But in terms of, the human behind the channel not being on camera, huge following, very deep connection. People are connected to the comments there. They're connected to the music there. So, when it comes to the connection side, you can still do it. But again, it's going to come down to, the type of content that you are, putting out. Let's see here. So Renee Ritchie says, Windover, Polymatter, Cold Fusion, half as interesting, real engineering, real science, so many amazing faceless channels, especially in education. They don't stream though. Yeah. So like when it comes to streaming, I think that's where, things are going to get, interesting because, there, again, it just comes down to the type of, content that you're putting out. Let's see here. So next up, we've got Kids Learning and Growing. They upload every other day. The type of channel is made for kids learning activities. The goal of the channel is to have fun and make some extra money on the side. The question is, things are going great. I've learned so much, and my channel is developed from kids learning while playing with crafts to learning while playing with kids' toys. My new videos are getting thousands of views, but my original videos are still in the hundreds. Should I delete those original videos? Are they keeping my channel from being promoted more? So when it comes to your video content, videos are a standalone thing. So like, let's say, for example, you have 100 videos on your channel that don't perform well, but you have 10 videos on your channel that do perform well. What's going to happen is those 10 videos are going to continue, as long as people keep responding well to them, they're going to continue to do well, while those other videos, if people didn't respond well to them, are not. But one thing that you can do is when you put your content out, one thing you can do is if you go back into some of that old content to where, maybe the views aren't there, first go and try to figure out why. Because right now on your channel, because you have videos that are getting thousands of views, what you have now is you have like what success or what, a video that gets thousands of views at least, what that looks like on your channel. So now what you can do is you can start comparing how people responded to that video, and you use your YouTube analytics for this. You compare how people responded to that video to how people responded to the other videos on the channel. So what you can do there is you can say, okay, well, my new content's getting a lot more impressions. People are watching it for a lot more time. My click-through rate's higher. People are sharing it more. People are clicking on their end screens more, things like that. Whereas these older videos, maybe they just didn't get a lot of impressions on them, right? Maybe they didn't get a lot of impressions, and maybe the thumbnails weren't as good because you didn't know then what you know now, those types of things. So what you can do is you can go in and you can go into some of that old content once you identify that, and you can say, okay, well, if the video content was good and the people that did come into the video, if they did enjoy the video, and you can tell this in your audience retention reports, if they did enjoy the video, and by the likes on the video, and by the amount of people completing the video, clicking on additional videos and so on, then what you can do is you can say, okay, well, people enjoyed this, but they didn't click on it a lot. So let me update the thumbnail and title, and YouTube, will still, give some impressions on that video, and then maybe people respond to it differently. But then on some of your content, if you have videos that are good based on what it is that you're seeing in your analytics, then you can say, okay, at the end of this video, which is one of my new videos, I'm going to recommend one of these old videos. Or maybe I'm going to recommend a playlist that has some of these older videos in it that, people responded to well, but I just kind of re-optimized for the sake of applying my new knowledge to the old, to the old packaging. Then in that particular case, you can start, kind of feeding people into some of that older content as well, while also updating, everything or refreshing everything. And by doing that, what can happen is you'll have, the new activity from those new people that are, interacting with that video. And if they have a good experience with it, then you can cause in that situation for YouTube to start recommending it to people again, based on the people that are coming in and enjoying that content. So you can do those sorts of things. But if it's just bad though, because, you mentioned, you're like, things are going great, I've learned so much, which means that you're in a different place now than you were then, right? You're a different person now. So because of that, like if the old content is like, honestly, I just didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't know how to get people to click. My videos weren't that great. I had all these different problems in it. Like, no wonder they didn't do well. Like, because you're further along now, you can see things differently. So because of that, you can look back and you can say, well, these probably weren't that great anyway. So instead of even messing with them, I'm just gonna move forward, and I'm just gonna just focus on publishing new content, driving people into the content that's already proven to perform on the channel, so that way I can ensure that the viewer experience that's being had is the best that it can possibly be, right? And then by doing that, then you're just focusing on the things that you can control now, instead of trying to fix things that may have underperformed for a reason. XRS Built X says, hello, I have a gaming channel for over 2 years with over 150 high quality videos, but still haven't broke 1,000 subscribers. Is the YouTube algorithm that hard to overcome? The YouTube algorithm itself is actually pretty easy. The problem, oh, hey, I see two more in here. I'll hit you guys right here in a second, How to Automotive and Brian. But basically when it comes to YouTube and the algorithm, so the algorithm itself, it's really simple. So, I mean, it's not simple. It's extremely complicated, and you have to be like a data scientist to even start to paint a picture. But when it comes to like the basics of how it works, it's this simple. If you make content that people enjoy, the algorithm will favor that content. That's it. Right? So if you make content, I'm going to say it again, if you make content that human beings, the people that are actually using YouTube, the people that log into YouTube just like you, that are like, hey, I'm going to, watch some videos today. And they, open up YouTube and they're going to sit there on their phone and they're going to watch it, a handful of videos, while, before they go do something else. For those people, if you can create content that causes people to click on it because it's about something that, they would be interested in, and then they enjoy that content, and you can see how people are enjoying your content in your audience retention reports. If you're new, audience retention reports are a graph that YouTube gives us with every video that we publish that tells us how people respond to our videos on average. So you can see the lines of where people are leaving, where people are rewinding, where people are skipping, things like that. So what you can do is you can go in, you can analyze your own content to see like, okay, maybe people aren't clicking on it a lot, or maybe, once they do click on it, they're not watching it for a long period of time, and that's why they're not doing well. So So the system itself, it doesn't have a preference. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't like content. It doesn't dislike content. It just follows the viewers. So what that means is if people respond to it and people are like, hey, this is good, this is good, this is good, clicking on it, hey, this is good, this is good, then YouTube's going to show it to more people, like the people that are enjoying it. If people click on it and they don't enjoy the content and they leave quickly, then in that particular case, then what can happen is YouTube will detect like, hey, people just aren't digging this. Or if they're just not clicking on it at all, then what's going to happen is YouTube is trying to keep people on the platform. So if people aren't clicking on your content, then what's going to happen is, and this is why learning how to write compelling titles, learning how to make, good thumbnails is important. But basically, if people are not clicking on your videos, then what happens is the system says, okay, people aren't clicking on this when we show it to them. My job as the, system here is to keep people on the platform. How do I keep people on the platform? Well, by showing them things that they're likely to engage with. So if they're not engaging with yours, then what's going to happen is your impressions are going to quickly start falling off, meaning that they're going to quickly stop showing your content to people because people aren't responding to it. And instead, they're going to start testing some other content against those people in its place. And then while all of that is happening in real time for every viewer that's interacting on the platform, it's basically just prioritizing, all the different videos that particular viewer would be most likely to engage with, and demoting, so to speak, or deprioritizing the content that people just that they're not responding to. So instead of thinking of it from like, hey, I'm trying to beat the YouTube algorithm, instead of thinking through that lens, which puts you in a contest or a competition against a computer, instead of thinking of it from that perspective, think of it from the perspective of how can I come up with video ideas that the people that I'm trying to reach would enjoy the most? How can I package those up in terms of my thumbnail and title in a way to help people identify that it's content that they care about through the thumbnail, and then they click on it through the compelling nature or the informational nature of my title, and then give them a great experience in the content. If you focus all of your energy on how can I just make good videos for people and get them to click on them, if you focus everything it is that you're doing on that, that will get you way farther than if you're like, okay, how do I beat the YouTube algorithm, right? Because everything is based on how people are interacting with your content. So the sooner, like for anybody here that's a new content creator, the sooner you embrace that concept, the better and faster you're going to do better, right? The better you're going to do and the faster you're going to do better.
What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech.
Viper, man about tech in the house. What's up, my dude? Hope you're doing fantastic. Thanks for swinging by today. He's got his own audio plug when he shows up. Oh, love it. But yeah, like for new content creators though, like here's something you're going to see. And for, those of you that are new, this is something I just want to bring to your attention. So as part of your journey as a new content creator, some of you are going to be hopping on like Reddit, and you're going to be joining like all these like new YouTuber groups and stuff. And, you can get some good information in some of those groups, but a lot of times it's people that are also just trying to figure this stuff out. And a lot of people are just taking random pieces of information that they find on the internet, and they are recommending that information to each other. And it can create this big misunderstanding of like what to do and what's important and what to focus on and all of that. So when you are participating in those groups, regardless of the way that people frame the YouTube algorithm, always prioritize people, right? Just think like people. All I'm doing with my content is I'm trying to reach other human beings, and I'm trying to add value of some kind to those human beings through the content that I'm producing. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to beat YouTube. I'm not trying to beat the YouTube algorithm. I'm not trying to trick, YouTube into showing people my content, because you can't. Everything is based on how the humans respond to it. So you have to make sure that you're leaning into that idea, because that is what actually, that's actually how the system runs. YouTube actually has some phrasing that they use. And they say, instead of worrying about what the algorithm likes, think about, I'm going to mess this up a little bit. Instead of worrying about what the algorithm likes, think about what your audience likes instead. If you make that content and your audience responds, the algorithm will follow. is the specific language. Now, some of that, the exact words might be a little bit off, but that's the idea, right? So the algorithm follows the audience. So just make sure that you always remember that, especially if you're getting started, because you're going to run across all kinds of information about like, hey, do this, and here's this one little trick, and this, that, and the other thing. I even have some of those videos like, hey, this one watch time trick is going to help you, get more views. And it's not really a trick or a secret. It's just, that's how I get people to click on it so that I can spread awareness about like just creating a viewer experience that makes it easy for people to find more of your content, right? So when you are, looking around at information about how to do all this stuff, just keep in mind, everything comes down to just you being able to connect with the people that you're trying to reach and give them a good experience with your content. That's it. If you can do that and you can do it well, then your channel is going to do well over time. How to Automotive says, I'm uploading a lot of shorts and I'm getting a lot of subscribers, but my return viewers are going down. Do you think the new short subscribers is hurting my channel? If you are getting a lot of short subscribers subscribing to your YouTube channel, then of course that would be impacting the returning viewers. So if you're getting like a lot of people, subscribing on the YouTube shorts, but then they're not, coming into the long form content, then it would be inflating the new viewers over here, and it would make it seem like they're not, responding to, technically they wouldn't be responding, but if you have, that higher group of people that are coming in from shorts and that's where they're finding you, since I think it was in the last live stream, Renee mentioned that even though they're building the bridges to connect YouTube shorts to long form, currently they've got like a lane open, right? So they're still working on the other lanes to make that full connection. So because of that, if you're having like inflated amounts of subscribers coming in from the shorts, then, that could be hurting you in terms of, it might seem, technically they wouldn't, but the inflated numbers over here are impacting the numbers that you're seeing there with the, the returning viewers versus the new viewers. So yeah, absolutely. But in terms of it hurting your channel, no. But in terms of, if you're bringing a lot of people in from shorts, but they're not, coming back, in that particular case, I wouldn't worry about that right now. If you are seeing that with just the video content itself, then in that case, I would try to start thinking in like series and stuff like that, in terms of like, okay, over the next like 90 days, the content that I'm going to be putting out, I'm going to, as I'm putting this out, this first video that I'm going to do, the people that watch that video, like, why would they watch the next video that I put out, and then the next video that I put out, and then the next video that I put out, and so on. So start thinking that way, or start thinking, what could I put out on my channel on a regular basis to where it would cause spikes in returning viewers, right? So let's say that you have like the regular content that you put out, and over the course of the month, let's say you do, and I'm just putting these numbers out here for the sake of, just the idea. But let's say, for example, you put out a video per week and you notice that typically people only watch like a video per month. Then in that particular case, then what you can do is you can say, okay, well, let me see if I can come up with something on my channel that would just, pull in, some of those returning viewers, something that is maybe even outside of what it is that I'm currently doing. Like, for example, on me, it took me a really long time to come up with this on my channel, but like my news segment, that brings in a lot of, returning people, because it's like hey, this is a place that I can just stop in real quick. Even if I have a channel that, that I don't need Nick's information anymore, I can still get value out of the news, right? So by, deploying that, and it took me a long time to come up with that, but by, deploying that, it's helped in terms of my, returning viewers as well for that content specifically. But when it comes to my regular like YouTube tips content, I still have a pretty heavy burn rate on that content, in terms of people coming in, they'll subscribe to it, whatever, and then they just, they'll end up, not watching, a lot of, additional content there. Let's see here. So next up, we got how we got here. Genealogy says, looking forward to your new Tuesday live stream series, Tea Time with Nick. Yeah, right. That's the, starting Tuesday tea time, right? Oh, love it. All right. So let's see here. So next up, we've got, as we are going through this here, kids learning and growing. I think I did this one. Yeah, we did. Okay. So next up, we've got Traveling with Brian. Traveling with Brian does travel and food content. The goal of the channel is to have fun, make money, and travel. The question is, when it comes to crowdfunding, what are the advantages and disadvantages of choosing Buy Me a Coffee versus PayPal, which is better for a beginner YouTuber? Thanks, you rock. Thank you for the kind words. So when it comes to Buy Me a Coffee versus PayPal, first, if you are going to link to your PayPal, make sure that you do it as a .me link. Then that way it keeps the email address attached to your PayPal account private. So then that way, you would have that. But The difference is with Buy Me a Coffee, there they can, donate to you as well, but you can also actually give them things in return. Also with Buy Me a Coffee, people have the option, if they choose to have recurring payments. So then in that case, what they can do is they can actually pay every single month, which is pretty cool. So some people will do that as a means to support the channel, to where every month they'll give you $5 or $10, or depending on, the viewer and your channel and all that stuff, sometimes it can be higher. But the idea with Buy Me a Coffee is it has some of those features built in, where with PayPal, it's just like a straight donation and then like that's it. Unless you set up like subscription buttons and things like that, which you can do inside of PayPal. But with that, maybe you would need like a, web page or something like that. So, it just comes down to just ease of use, being able to have like the recurring membership stuff, done in a more easy way if you don't have memberships attached already. But you mentioned that you're a new channel, so, you don't. But like when it comes to, the difference between the two, those would be the ones that I would lean on. Let's see here. Love, Grow, Live Free is the name of this next channel. The type of channel is grow your mind, grow your food, transform your life. Oh, that's cool. The goal of the channel is helping people transform their lives like I have. And the question is, my Happy New Year's video didn't have tags. It was 47 seconds long. 40 seconds long, saying Happy New Year's, I love you. 23 will be our best year yet. The YouTube algorithm picked it up, and now pervs are being referred to my channel by disreputable channels that have nothing to do with health and wellness. Nothing in my video was sexual. How could I fix this? I already removed the video. If you already removed the video, then you should be good. In terms of people coming into that particular video, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what's going on there in terms of, if people, like if it's just a Happy New Year and nothing like crazy was going on in there, but then you have people that are being referred to your channel by other channels. I'm not sure what's going on there. It seems like a complicated, issue. But one thing that I would do is, just as a heads up, okay, so this is for everybody here. When you have things that people say to you in your comment section, and some channels are more prone to having, these types of people come out of the woodwork. First, there's always trolls, on the internet. It's just how it works. That's why we have like moderators and stuff here to kind of keep that stuff under control, because it even happens during these streams. But there is something that we all have access to on our channels called a blocked words list. This is in your YouTube settings. And, I should make a YouTube short on this, just so you guys know where to find this quickly. But basically, when it comes to the blocked words list, what you can do, since you have, pervs that are coming into your channel, is take all of the little things that they say, try to focus on specific words or specific phrases that they repeat, or a combination of both, and then go into your YouTube settings, go into, I think it's under community. And then under community, if you scroll down that box that pops up, you're going to see blocked words list. So what you want to do is you want to take those words or phrases that they're commonly saying in there, and things that you think they might say. So if people are, making comments about your hair or your face or your body or the way you say things, or anything that you're like, hey, I don't like when people say those types of things, then you can add those to your blocked words list. And then when they come in and they leave those comments, what's going to happen is YouTube is going to remove them from public view. The second they post them, they're going to be removed from public view. The person that left that comment, they're still going to see it. But what's going to happen is that's going to end up in your held for review section. And since it's in your held for review section, then you don't ever have to look at it, and you don't ever have to see those comments. If you want to, and you want to like bum yourself out, then you can go into that held for review section and you can read through all the, comments that people are saying. But if you're like, hey, I'm just going to put these words in here and just let YouTube do it, then what's going to happen is you're going to massively cut down on your spam. You're going to massively cut down on people, offending you or attacking you or, bullying you in some cases in your comment section, and you're just going to clean up everything. So some stuff is still going to slip through. Sometimes people come up with creative ways if they figure out that, that's happening, because trolls are trolls. What they can do is they'll figure out like, different ways to do it. Maybe somebody will put spaces between it, or they'll use like a 1 instead of an I, things like that. So people, do like troll extra hard in some cases, but that blocked words list can massively cut down on those problems for you and help you, keep your comment section clean. For me, with my types of content, one of the things that I have a problem with is I have, content creators that think they're clever, and they'll go in and they'll be like, oh, hey, great video, so on and so forth. On my channel, I'm trying to hit this subscriber number by like this date. And it'll be like, in this case, because we're in February, they would be like, oh, I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of February. And, they'll leave that comment. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take subscribers. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to take subscribe. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to take subscribe to my channel. I'm going to take check out my channel. I'm going to take those types of things that, that people typically fill up my comment section with. I'm going to put those on my blocked words list in addition to like a whole bunch of other stuff. And then by doing that, it just cleans up a lot of that stuff. Sometimes it'll still get through all that just based on, how they, structure things. But that 20 minutes that it's going to take you to set up your blocked words list can create a much better environment for your viewers and for yourself on your YouTube channel. So highly recommend that you do that. I'm actually going to make a note here really quick to make that list.
Show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend.
Short about blocked words. Okay. Let me put this as a title so I'll see it. Boom. Okay, done. All right. So let's see here. So next up on our list, we have Love, Grow, Live Free. Wait, we just did this one, I think. Yeah, okay, that was my fault. Okay, next up, we're on number 14 already. This is good. We're kind of cruising through these. Let's see here. Old Trish says, Nick, I need that list. Okay, so here's all you have to do. So I can't show you my list because there's some pretty explicit stuff in there. But if anybody's sitting in front of a computer and they want to find that blocked words list, all you have to do is go into your YouTube studio. I'm just going to take everybody through it right now because I see that some people are like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So this is going to help, some people that are in the chat right now. So I'm going to walk you through this. So all you have to do is go and click on your channel name if you're on a computer. If you're not on a computer, you can do this same thing on your phone using the Google Chrome browser, but make sure in the bottom right-hand corner, you click on that you click on the three-dot menu and you choose Request Desktop Site, and then go to studio.mobile or studio.youtube.com. I think. Yeah, go to studio.youtube.com. What's going to happen is it's going to pop up a little thing recommending that you that you open the Creator Studio app. Don't do that, right? Just go right into the site as a in the desktop mode, and then you'll be able to do the same thing. But basically, once you're in there, then you want to once you're in your Creator Studio where you see like a quick view of your stats and all that stuff, then in that case, what you want to do is you want to go down on the very bottom left-hand side of the screen. You're going to see a little gear icon. Once you click on that gear icon, here, I'll actually show you this here so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Let's see here. Okay. Present. And share screen. And we'll go over here. Okay, so what you want to do is once you are, in here, and I have some of my information back here covered up, but basically the little icon is going to be right down here in the bottom left-hand side. You want to click on that, and this box is going to pop up. Then from here, if you go into Community, once you are in Community, okay, he's already in there. Okay, good. Once you're in Community, if you scroll down, and I'm just going to be really careful here as I go down into this because I don't want it to actually show up. Okay, so we have that. Who can redirect? There we go. Okay, so basically you're going to see this little area right here. It's called blocked words. So all you have to do is in that box, you put the words, and you can see right here on the screen, it says all existing and future comments, all existing. That means any comments on your channel that say this stuff. So you can use this as a way to clean everything up that's already there too. All existing and future comments containing or closely matching these words will be held for review. Live chat messages containing or closely matching these words will be blocked. So you put that information there, and then once you do that, you have the option to save. And then once you do that, that's going to help you clean up your comment section in a massive way. So other things that I recommend that you put there is I recommend that you put things like WhatsApp, because that's a problem on YouTube. I would also recommend, even though, depending on Shark Scrapper is like, yeah, glad I didn't see my logo on Nick's blocked channels list. But basically, once you have that in there, then what you can do is relax, because then, most of the stuff is going to be handled. You're going to have some fine tuning to do. And, all you have to do is when you notice like, oh, this one got through, then just take some of those words, put them in your blocked words list. And the next time somebody says that, it should also go in there as well. But by doing that, it's going to help make your comment section a lot more clean. And it's going to be great for your mental health as well. So, when it comes to, comments, we all know, because we're all content creators here, we know how, toxic they can be sometimes. We know how like rude people can be and just downright mean people can be. So when you have to see that stuff in your comment section, when you're in there answering comments or you're in there leaving hearts on comments or whatever, they still stand out. Like people can say, and this is a weird thing, but like people can say, you can read through 50 comments where people are like, hey, great video. Hey, this is this, that, and the other thing. Oh, that was super cool you did there. Hey, this is great. Hey, nice shirt, whatever. But then you have that one comment, you're like, oh yeah. Oh, hey, oh, they like my shirt. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, great. Okay. Nice. And then that one comment that is like, hey, the left side of your beard is too long. You're like, oh, really? And then you're like, get up, you go to the bathroom. You're like, whoa, was it? You're like in there watching the video. Like, no, it doesn't seem like it was too long. You know what I mean? Like some of those things sometimes can just stand out. So because of that, when you go through that process of, filling out your blocked words list, it can just do wonders for you for just maintaining the focus on the positivity in your community. And also just not, distracting you with that stuff. And, it'll reduce hitting those comments as you're going through and answering your comments. That'll just completely bum you out as well. So our next question, hey, Roger, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing fantastic. So the next channel is 86 Street Chef Project. They have a help channel. The goal is to help as many cooks and chefs as possible. And the question is, my girlfriend wants to start a channel dedicated solely to live streaming with guests. I've been doing this for a while, but have zero experience live streaming. Any advice for setting up a new channel for live streams from scratch on an iPads and iPhones? Is it even possible? It is possible. YouTube actually has a go live together feature now. So once she hits the requirements for that, she might be able to do it right out of the gate. But then she can actually, just do streams directly on her phone and have guests on that way. Or if you're doing on a tablet, technically you can do this in StreamYard as well.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Technically, you can do this in StreamYard as well, StreamYard.com. But basically, once you have the channel set up, then all you need to do is make sure that she's making, titles that make sense. She's talking about topics that make sense. When she has guests on, she might be tempted to optimize everything around the guest, like my interview with fill in the blank. Tell her to always optimize around the topics that she's talking about, unless she has somebody super famous on. Like in your case, because you're doing like chefs. So like if you had like a famous chef that like everybody knows, then in that case, it makes sense. Excuse me. But if you're having somebody on that's just like a restaurant owner or she's not doing restaurant stuff, but if she has somebody on that's not like super famous, then in that case, just optimize around the topic, because the topic can be of interest to people regardless of who's talking about it. Whereas if you optimize around the person, then people have to know who that person is in order to be interested at all, right? So the qualifiers are extremely different. This one goes into a much more broad audience because it's about the topic. This one isolates it to just the people that know that person, right? So because of that, I would definitely make sure that you are sharing that information with her. But when it comes to actually going through the process of streaming and all that, you can absolutely do it on phones, tablets. You can do it natively on the devices with the Go Live Together feature, or you can use something like StreamYard, which is what I use for my live streams. And then by doing that, all she has to do is grab a link and send it to people, and they can come in directly that way. If she does the Go Live Together feature, then what they have to do is they actually have to have a YouTube channel. It doesn't have to have like videos on or anything. They just have to have like a YouTube account, and then she can send the link that way and they can come in there as well. Another thing, just as a reminder, is that we are responsible for the activity that happens on our live streams. So because of that, just make sure that she also knows that, like, hey, if you have a guest on, make sure that they know not to have a TV on in the background, not to be playing any copyright protected music in the background, even if it's soft, to make sure that they're not showing anything, to make sure that the doors are closed so that, like, if they have another person in the house, they can't, like, walk in, like, exposing themselves or anything crazy like that. Just make sure that the guests know what's going on so that, she doesn't have any problem there, but just have them, kind of brief them before they come onto the show. Care of Design, hey, what's going on, man? Says, I'm struggling with consistency. There are weeks where I can't make a single video and weeks where I'm making 3 to 4. Any tips on how to approach this? Routine. You got to work it into your routine. So if you are like, hey, I want to make videos and I want to, you know, make sure that I'm publishing content on a regular basis, then in that case, you have to work it into your lifestyle. So a great way to do this is to build days around different things that you're doing. So I know that you do UX design. So since you do UX design and that's, you know, what you do for a living, when it comes to YouTube, that's kind of the second priority. So because of that, figure out all the time that you need for your UX design, figure out the time that you need for, you know, everything else. And then find those pockets of time to where you can say, okay, just like when you show up every day to work and you're like, hey, you know, I'm sitting in front of the computer, I'm doing this, you know, UX design from like this time to this time. The same exact thing would apply to making content. So then what you would do in that case is you would say, okay, some weeks I do 3 to 4, other weeks I don't do any, or I just can't, I just don't have the energy, whatever. Then in that case, say, okay, well, on the weeks that I do 3 or 4, I'm just going to stockpile them and I'm going to publish, you know, at a cadence that I can maintain with that routine, if that's what I'm, you know, going to do. Or I'm going to schedule time throughout the week to make sure that I have each individual part of the, you know, of the, you know, content creation process done. And then by doing that, just like when you show up at your computer every day to do your UX design or UI design, just like you show up for that, because it's all scheduled, right? It's part of your routine. The same exact thing will happen when it comes to making content as well. Let's see here. Next up on our list, we've got, all right, number 15 already on these questions. This is good, cruising. So, waiting for the page to load. 1 second. Un momento, por favor. Let's see. Got that. Okay, good. Checking the stars. Okay, so, Anaholics says, can you be too old for making it on YouTube? I'm 52 now. I mean, technically there might be a threshold at some point, but I know that there are YouTube channels where there are people that are, you know, like 100 years old that, you know, make YouTube videos, and they have a community of people that just absolutely adore them. They also have, you know, people of all different ages making YouTube videos. I have friends that are over 50 that make YouTube videos on a regular basis. Some of them thrive and do awesome. Some of them didn't even start until their 50s and they're doing great. So when it comes to, you know, being older, you know, YouTube is one of those amazing places on the internet to where people of all ages and all demographics are interacting with YouTube. So because of that, depending on exactly what it is that you are offering on your YouTube channel, you're going to connect with people that are, you know, interested in the types of things that you're doing. But keep in mind, when it comes to YouTube, it's really important to make sure that you are thinking of, okay, what is it that I am going to like offer to these viewers, right? Like, what is it that what type of content am I going to make that's going to add value to them? Because, you know, the typical thing, and this can work as well. You know, sometimes people will come on and they'll be like, hey, I'm just going to like sit there and just like tell my story because I've done some crazy things in my life. And in some cases that's fine and that'll work and they'll do awesome. But in other cases, those will just fall flat based on the storytelling, based on, you know, the experience people are having, based on the, you know, the personality of the creator, you know, all these things are a factor. So just make sure that you are just being very aware of the very specific value that you're offering to the people that you are making content for. And also make sure that you are thinking of it from the perspective of, I'm building a channel which will be a resource for a certain type of content. So the way that we kind of phrase this is that you're kind of niching down with the content that you're putting on the channel. But all that means is I'm just making like a certain type of content for a certain type of viewer. So I'm building this resource, this archive of a resource for people that are interested in this type of content, so that if they come in and they watch one video, that they can easily be recommended other content that they would also like from YouTube, or they can click on your channel name and they can go to your YouTube channel and they can go, oh, wow, I've been looking for videos like these. And then they can go to your videos page, or they can scroll down your channel page, and then they can just start watching the videos that interested them because you've designed the entire thing for a specific type of viewer. So just make sure that you're considering that with your approach. And sorry it took me so long to get to that. Sometimes, like as they come in, like I'll miss some of them. So because of that, I apologize for taking a while on that one. Let's see here. Yeah, 22 minutes on that one. Sorry, so my apologies there. So let's see here. So next up on our list, and we're going through the questions here that are in the form. Just as a heads up, so if you are just joining us, I have a form that is down in the description. That's where the questions are being put, and I'm answering them in the order that they come in. Let's see here. So answered that one already, so we're good there. Yeah, we've got people in the chat right now saying that they're 50 plus. We've got Ronnie's Rambles saying 69 here, starting a new channel. So there's, almost 70. Paul Peck drywall tubes over 50. We've got Going Crazy in the Kitchen, 50 plus. We've got Old Trish, 67. So yeah, in terms of that, absolutely. DIY audio guys, 48, started at 45. I'm better now than I would have been when I was 20. I was an idiot when I was 20. Hey, high five to that. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So yeah, when the, there's advantages to being a content creator when you're older, right? Because the approach, maybe you'll be more serious, maybe you have more time to commit to it, depending on, your lifestyle and all that. So yeah, all kinds of, there's advantages across the entire spectrum in terms of age ranges. So Lori's 88 Angels is our next question here, and they have a spiritual guidance and physiology channel. The goal of the channel is money, and the question is slow going, views are not consistent. So that's going to come down to your ability to create content that people respond to positively, at least competitively for the platform, because you're competing against, all the videos that YouTube thinks that the people that you're trying to reach would be interested in, and learning how to get those people to click. And you say that it's slow going, but I do want to remind you, when it comes to YouTube, it's just like anything else, right? So anything that you've done that you've had to learn and go through a learning process to, do the thing, if it's been, a new school year with new subjects, if it's been a new job, if it's been a new hobby that you've started, it all requires a learning curve. Even if you've moved to a new town, right? That comes with a learning curve, because you got to figure out all the different places to go. You got to figure out the best places to buy stuff. You got to figure out the different ways around town that get you around traffic. Everything comes with a learning curve. YouTube is exactly the same. So if things are going slow, it's okay. Just embrace the learning process and just try to improve something all of the time. So constantly be trying to improve something. If it's, hey, this week I'm working on my thumbnails. This week I'm working on my titles. This week I'm just going to learn how to use just a really small part of my YouTube analytics, anything like that. Just try to continue improving and working at it. And that's how you get there. Next up on the list, Crazy Cool Facts, 53 also. So they just started Crazy Cool Facts, and they're having a great time. They had over 20,000 views in their first week, primarily shorts, and they use vidIQ. So yeah, so another example there of, being 50, over 50 and 20,000 views in their first week. So in terms of, possibilities there. So next up, if you are lagging, I see Wild Production saying that it's lagging a lot. So if you are seeing a lag, what you should do is just double check. So in the YouTube player, down in the bottom left of the player, you're going to see, if you hover over the screen, if you're on a mobile device, you'll just see it showing there where it just says live. Tap on that. But once you see this, tap on that. And when you do, that's going to bring you up to the actual live experience, to the things that are happening in real time. By default, there's a delay in here. Sometimes it's 5 seconds. Other times it's 8. But there's, a little bit of a delay from when I'm speaking to when you're actually getting it. But in terms of the lag, make sure that you are looking at the live experience and that you're not, farther back in the player. Stormspun Mystic is our next question here. They do daily content. The type of channel is a community that creates fantasy into reality. We focus on 3D printing, chainmail, and cosplay. That's cool. The goal of the channel is we are a husband and wife team. We want to build our community to share what makes our nerdy hearts shine. And the question is, I found your channel about 2 weeks ago and have been binge listening at work. I work third shifts and can listen to my headphones while working. Nice. I was sparked to just do it on February 9th. I went home after work and I created a banner, YouTube and Patreon. I posted our first video 6 days ago. Welcome to YouTube, and congratulations for taking that first step. The reason I'm saying that is because there are tons of people all over the world that want to have YouTube channels, but there is a mountain of things that are stopping them. Some people, it's because they have, these personal things about themselves. So where they're like, yeah, I just can't put myself on camera and I can't think of another type of content to make. Some people just creatively, they're just like, I just don't know what to make videos about. Other people are just worried about what other people are going to think, stuff like that. So like you've broken through all of that and you're like, you know what, I'm doing it. And you did it, right? You've published your first video and you've started the process. So high five and fist bump to you for taking the initiative and doing it. But anyway, I went home after work and I created those things. Let's see here. I am going in open-minded, trying to make it organic and authentic. I'm attempting all the tools that are available as I figure them out. Just as I learned in writing, I cannot edit a blank page. Posting content helps me learn and grow. You're light years ahead of a ton of people. That concept right there in terms of posting content helps me learn and grow. That concept is something that a lot of content creators have a really hard time getting a hold of. So like just the fact that you're like, hey, posting content helps me grow and it helps me learn. So I'm posting videos so I can get information. Like, yeah, you're off to a great start. So far, I've posted mini shorts. This may sound easy, but I was in the mindset of keeping our personalities as though we're in a room with the viewer. It's helped me think through our content for longer videos, but my question is about live videos. As a brand new channel with a few followers, what advice can you give about attempting a live video without viewers? We have 6 children, so we're good at talking to ourselves, so to speak. I'm trying to figure out the mindset and options to make a successful live video, even if no one shows up to watch. I would love the replay of a live video to not be depressing. Thank you for all you inspire. It was the spark that we needed to get rolling, Marcia. Okay, so when it comes to having live streams or actually just like jumping into live streaming, the very first thing that I recommend is that when it comes to live streaming, a lot of people by default, because they see other people doing this, they think that live streams have to be, 3 hours long or an hour long or 30 minutes long, but there's really no definition of, you need to live stream for this amount of time, right? So because of that, you want to first make sure that you are thinking about like what it is that you're going to offer and that you're thinking about how you can, especially like when you already know that you are likely to not have a lot of viewers coming in, you have to make sure you're thinking about not the live experience, but the replay experience. So when you are thinking of live streaming, a lot of people will think like, okay, I'm going to go live and, maybe people are going to come in and I'm going to, be sitting here, sharing information or doing the thing that I do with my content. And I'm going to, have to react to all of that in real time. And then, I'll be thanking everybody for, participating and then I'm going to leave. So when you are anticipating nobody showing up, instead of thinking through that lens, think of it through the lens of, okay, we're making a piece of content, but we're doing it live. Okay. So instead of like starting it and just kind of hanging out and just kind of seeing what happens, instead hit the button to go live and start with the content, right? So have your structure, have whatever it is you're going to talk about, have whatever it is you're going to share, hit the button, go live. And when you go live, don't think of it like, okay, I'm hanging out with a bunch of people. Think of it like there's going to be somebody that's going to click on this and they're going to watch this as a video. So because of that, when this video first starts, what can I say to them that will be of interest to them that will make them want to continue watching, okay? So what you would think about is you'd be like, okay, so for the type of content that I'm making, what I'm gonna do is when the video first starts, I'm gonna say like, hey, today we're talking about XYZ, and then start talking about XYZ, right? Today I'm going to show you this. Today I'm taking you on a trip. Today I'm going to take you on a trip, around our place. I'm going to introduce you to the family, so on and so forth, and have everybody kind of, hanging out ready for this. But, go through that process of, grabbing their attention at the beginning and just consider that replay experience because that's where most of the activity is most likely going to come from if you don't have like anybody interacting a lot with your content yet. So when you go live and you have that mindset of I'm making a piece of content live instead of like, hey, I'm doing like a live stream, then what that does is that kind of shifts how you approach everything. So then you become a lot more engaged yourself because you're like, okay, I'm trying to get through what it is that we're sharing because I want this to be kind of tight. so that when somebody sees it on their, mobile feed, when they see the timestamp, they're not going to be like, oh, this is like an hour long. I don't even know these people. I'm not going to watch this. To where it's like, hey, we got through all this in like, 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So we just made a piece of content live. So I would experiment with that approach. And you want to follow that all the way through when it comes to the video structure. So for example, like you want to make sure that you're hooking them or grabbing their attention at the beginning of the video. If possible, add some stakes to it, depending on, what it is that you're making there with your live streams. And then share the actual content that you're going to share. And then at the end, think about, okay, if people watch this on the replay, if they make it to the end of this, what video do I have on my channel based on the things that we're going to be talking about here? If you have any long form content yet, what do I have on my channel that would be a good handoff? Meaning, once you get to the end of your live stream, instead of saying like, hey, thank you everybody so much for hanging out, blah, blah, blah. Instead, you would say, hey, you probably clicked on this because, you were interested in, learning about our family, or you're interested in doing this, that, or the other thing. So because of that, I recommend that you click into this playlist right here where we have a lot more videos that, is going to, like really, get you familiar with what it is that we're doing, in our family and so on. You can go ahead and click into that now. Thanks for watching. End. And then what you do is once that stream is finished processing, hey Heidi, once the stream is finished processing, then you go in, you add an end screen to that with a link to that playlist or video that you're recommending them to go watch. And then what you did there is you made a piece of content that is still a great experience for the viewers that are coming in on the replay. And you did it live so that you've, kind of broken through that. And you're like, hey, now I've got some live streams under my belt, making some content live. So that makes that content easier to make, even though it's a little bit loose, maybe a little bit messy. It's still, it's still teaching me, the things that I need to learn as part of this process. So hopefully that helps. Next up on our list here, we have Car Questions Answered is the next channel. They do car market is the type of channel. The goal of the channel is informing people about how the car market works and a dealer perspective. And the question is, can you discuss how to use when your viewers are on YouTube analytics to decide what time to post videos? Because most videos are market related. It's more important for us to have higher views earlier. So what you want to do in your case is you want to publish as people are coming online. So like if you publish when people are not online, when, everything's dark, then in that particular case, like you're publishing when the likelihood of YouTube being able to recommend it to people right now just isn't there, right? So because of that, like they'll still recommend it to, some, other people, but the idea is you want to make sure that you are publishing when people are, coming online. And then when you publish as people are coming online, for your audience, then what that does is that gives you the ability to have YouTube show your content to the people that are on the platform, right, at that lower amount when it's first getting started. And then as they, are continuing to come online over the next like hour or two, then it allows the system to be like, hey, people are enjoying this, people are not enjoying this, whatever, so that the system can be like, hey, as these other people are coming online, let's start recommending it to them. And then you'll be able to kind of ride that wave through that day. But keep in mind when it comes to long-term performance, the initial performance, it doesn't matter as much anymore. I mean, it kind of does. You have like view velocity and stuff like that, to where the idea is that, if you get a high performing video quickly, then, then it has a higher potential to like take off. But in reality, when it comes to like long-term, performance on your videos, YouTube, once they get the data that it needs, then it's going to show it to the right people, like regardless, even if it takes them 90 days to do it. Right. So, so because of that, just focus on publishing when your viewers are online based on that graph, and just ride that wave. Right. And then of course you can do other things as well. Like if you have like your community feed, then in that particular case, what you can do is you can say, okay, we're going to publish this today because this is like market, like, like this is like time sensitive content. So because of that, you want to make sure that you nail it on the, on the time that you're publishing. And then from there, as long as you have just like, if you have a couple of days to burn there in terms of your time limit, then you can also make a community post about it, share the video in there. And then depending on where your channel's at, you've been on YouTube for less than 6 months, so I'm not sure how many subscribers you have or anything like that. But once you get YouTube stories, you can also make a YouTube story as well. And I think you get one video share per week, if I remember correctly. But what you can do is you can use your YouTube story to also, recommend a video as well. And you can put a clickable video there and also drive people into that as well. So you want to make sure you prioritize, with how you're using that, once you get those features. But at the very base, you can publish your content. You can publish the long form video. you can share it in your community post the next day. And while you're sharing it in the community post, if you wanted to, you can even sample out a short that would also lead directly back into that video as well, because it's time sensitive, according to this. So because of that, the idea is to just like long form, community post, short that leads back to that long form video as well. And that gives you, essentially 3 different ways that you'll be able to, get your content in front of people. So that would be the approach that I would take there. Just because it's time sensitive. Next up on the list, we've got Rachel Smets. Hey, Rachel, hope you're doing awesome. Rachel says that she does educational content. The goal of the channel is much more views and connection with my viewers. The question is narrow down topics. How can I make topics that are attracting viewers about making money from home without having one specific method? My channels are specific about affiliate. Many channels are specific about affiliate or Amazon or investments or e-commerce, but I'm none of that. I'm worried that I'm not growing because of lack of narrowing down into one specific topic. So if your channel is about making money, then you'll attract people that are interested in different ways to make money if you're talking about different ways to make money. So there's tons of channels that do awesome, that are, that do exactly what it is that you're doing in terms of sharing, different ways to make money. There's even like, channels where like digital nomads, which is similar to, some of the stuff that you're doing as well, that also thrive as well, talking about, similar things. So in terms of making money from home, in that particular case, all you're doing.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
That cold coffee doesn't hit as hard. But anyway, all you're doing is you are targeting people that are interested in making money from home. So because of that, those people are looking for like, how do I make money from home? It doesn't matter if it's Amazon or if it's, affiliate marketing or whatever. They're just looking for ways to make money from home. So I don't think that it is, that you're being too broad, because you are clear that you are targeting people that are trying to make money from home. So because of that, I know that one thing that you do, I think, if I remember correctly, is that you do have some like nomadic type content. Maybe it's you that are that's traveling around. I can't remember exactly, but I think you have some, nomadic type stuff with your content as well. So if that's the case, then you are kind of separating things a bit, because then in that case, you have the people that are interested in like the digital nomad lifestyle, which is literally the complete opposite of the like stay at home and work at home lifestyle. So because of that, I would just make sure that you are clear on like which one of those crowds that you're going after. But if you're going after like, hey, I'm teaching people how to work from home, then I would optimize everything it is that you're doing around connecting with people that are trying to figure out how to work from home. So in that particular case, in the past, I thought you were trying to target people that are like digital nomads. But if you're trying to target people that are working from home, then in that case, I wouldn't be trying to sell like the lifestyle, right? I wouldn't be trying to sell like, hey, here's me like hanging out on the beach. I'd be trying to sell like, hey, this is how you make money, right? Instead of like, hey, here's me living this awesome life. And, this is my representation of what it is that I'm talking about. Like if you're just trying to help people learn how to make money from home, then in that case, I would do a little bit less of the flexing type stuff. And it's not flexing, it's representing what it is that you're doing. And I understand that, but I'm saying like, I would do a little bit less of that. And I would just go a little bit harder on the like, hey, I'm just trying to, help you make money from home. So, I know that based on, different lifestyles and, different preferences and things like that, a lot of people just want to work from home. So my channel helps you do it. Right. So I would just focus on that, and I would get really clear on, connecting with those people.
Super chat.
Costume CO says, hey, Nick, this is so you can order a hot cup of coffee. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Doug says mug. Yeah, we'll go ahead and drop that so I can kind of stand up and kind of stretch out a little bit. Here we go. This is my new Be Right Back screen. So typically live streamers will have like a little screen that pops up, says like, Be Right Back. But here on Nimmin Live, we prefer music videos.
Give me a Joe, I'll be getting my fix in my kitchen, but look at the logo, the plug for the show. Whoa. It don't matter the flavor, I'm gonna get haters. A cup or a pot of the gold, I just need you to hold for a little bit longer. This song ain't a joke, it's a banger, you know or you don't. You will hang or you won't, but this thing isn't stopping till it's at the top, and I go back upstairs ain't seen one's enough, but apparently not. Take a cinnamon shot, mix it up on the spot. Give it a try, you might like it a lot. Need to hit the coffee maker, get another cup. Fiending for caffeine, I need it in my mug. I need to hit the coffee maker, get another cup. Fiending for caffeine, I need it in my mug. I need to hit the coffee maker, get another cup. Fiending for caffeine, I need it in my mug. I need to hit the coffee maker, get another cup. Fiending for caffeine, I need it in my mug. Cheers, put your mugs up here, put your cups up here, put your tumblers up here. Now drink it, cheers. Put your cups up here, put your mugs up here, put your tumblers up here. Now drink it, drink it, drink it.
All right. So there we go. Make sure my mic is not muted. There we go. All right. So inspired by Heidi. Thank you for that. Yeah. So for that being on Spotify and all of that, it's not yet, but I'm probably going to put it up there. Right now, I just have it pinned at the top of the chat right now for anybody that wants to listen to it. But I was actually talking to Dee just the other day about putting it on like Spotify and all those places as well. Just got to figure out where I'm going to put it and all of that. So the next question that we have, for those of you that enjoyed that, glad that you enjoyed it. So let's hear. So next up, we've got Muscle in the Mountains. Muscle in the Mountains does classic car videos. The goal of the channel is to grow my channel and make money. The question is, thanks so much. You've helped me a ton from your content. I'm a car photographer, but new to YouTube. I have over 2,000 subscribers, but only 3,500 watch hours. Gotten over half my subscribers from shorts. How do I get those subscribers to engage with my longer videos to increase watch time? So basically, YouTube has already, kind of built some of those bridges, right? One of the things that were mentioned was that, they have a lane open, but, the whole bridge isn't, fully open yet. But they, the system is smart in terms of, making the connections between people enjoying the short form content and then them watching the long form content as well. However, keep in mind when it comes to YouTube Shorts, like for somebody to watch that content, they just have to swipe up. But a lot of content creators that are really good at making shorts, some of them, they'll be like, hey, I'm doing awesome in shorts, but like nobody's watching my long form videos. Well, if you go and you look at the long form videos, one of the things that you are, or one of the things that you might find is that YouTube is showing your videos, but people just might not be clicking on them. Or once they do click on them, maybe the experience that they're having with the long form content isn't as good as the experience that they're having with the short form content. So what I recommend that you do is I recommend that you do look in your analytics for the impressions, and that will show you that YouTube is showing your content to people. You can also go into the traffic sources report. And if you go into the advanced analytics mode of this, then you'll be able to see YouTube is giving me this many impressions on browse features. You can even look at like home pages specifically in subscription feed. You can look at YouTube is giving you X amount of impressions for suggested videos. They're giving you X amount of impressions in YouTube search. And then you can look and see like, hey, what is my click-through rate on all these different, places of YouTube? And also what kind of percentage viewed am I getting from these different places? And you can start using that to just get an idea of how people are responding to the content that you're publishing. Combine that with your audience retention reports, which is like a quality indicator in terms of how people are, enjoying your content. And when you combine that information, then it starts to paint a really good picture of like, okay, these are some things that I might need to improve on in order for these longer form videos to do better. But if you're not getting anybody like clicking on them, then in that particular case, then I would work on that part of the process. So again, when it comes to YouTube Shorts, one of the wins there, especially you're making like classic car videos. So like in that particular case, it's like, somebody swipes up, if they're into cars, it's like, oh, hey, let me watch this car video really quick. Or if you even have an appreciation for classic cars, they swipe up and it's like, oh, wow, wow, look at that Impala. That's pretty cool. and it'll just grab their attention. They'll sit there and like watch it for a while, to where the long form content's different because they're making a conscious choice to click on it, go in and actually watch it. So, because of that, I would definitely go in, look at your analytics, see, what's happening in terms of, YouTube giving you impressions and so on. And then, make the adjustments that you need to make. Or in some cases, it could just be that like, hey, I got to learn how to make better thumbnails, or I got to learn, how to make these photos that I'm taking of cars like really pop. So they'll make like a really awesome attention grabbing thumbnail that'll really stand out. So if somebody's on a mobile feed and they're sitting there scrolling through, YouTube on their phone, that thumbnail is going to be like, bam, look at this, awesome part of this car or whatever. So, I would definitely use your analytics to look for those like fail points and then start working on, fixing those fail points through learning how to, write better titles, learning how to make better thumbnails. Hey, thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Next up on our list, we've got Sign with Courtney. Sign with Courtney says that they do daily content. They've been on YouTube for over a year. They teach American Sign Language content, or they do American Sign Language content. The goal of the channel is to teach ASL to students, deaf who have never learned, parents, friends, and anyone who wants to learn but hasn't gotten it yet. The question is, should I keep all content on one channel or create multiple channels? If I make basic lessons, it helps newbies, but the advanced are bored and skipped it. And then don't get pushed to my content. If I post advanced, the newbies feel ASL is impossible and move on. I also would like to expand to have ASL for special needs, which will only apply to a few. I only have 14,000 subscribers right now, though. So one thing that I would do is I would actually go through a period of time and I would just focus on like one of those audiences and see if it makes a difference before you go through the process of like starting a whole new channel. Because if you have two channels, you're gonna have to come up with content for both anyway. So before you go and start a new channel, just take the one channel that you have and say, okay, I'm going to focus on, maybe it's new people or maybe it's the advanced people. But keep in mind, there's always more new people than there are advanced people. So in terms of, growth potential, just keep that in mind. But when it comes to, dividing it up into two channels, first, I would take the concept and I would apply it to your channel and see if it, improves things. And if it does, and you're like, hey, I still want to do the advanced, or if you do advanced and you still want to do the new stuff, then in that case, have that other channel and, start that new channel for that different content. But if you are already like doing well, you already have an audience, but you've noticed that your more advanced content doesn't really, perform as well as the new stuff or vice versa, then in that case, focusing on the one that typically performs best is the approach that you want to take, and just double down on that for the next like 90 days and see what happens to the channel. And if you notice like, hey, this is definitely making a difference, people are, starting to respond to this stuff better. Also, as part of this process, on your channel, make sure that you are prioritizing that content as well. So like if somebody goes to your YouTube channel page, if you focus, let's say, for example, on like new ASL people, then in that case, if somebody goes to your channel page that's interested in that type of content, make sure everything on your channel page, the main channel page, is for that person that's new. And then by doing that, you're going to make it easy for them to find more of that content. Make sure that your end screens are also on all of the content for on every video you have on your channel that is for a new person. Go and double check and make sure that what you have linked in the end screen that sends them to additional videos, make sure that all of those are also pointing them towards other content that's for new people as well. Or if it's the advanced people, make sure it's pointing towards them. Also, when you're looking at your channel, you want to make sure that you go into your analytics as well when you are making this decision on, which one to prioritize for this experiment. You also want to make sure that you are looking at the videos that are driving the traffic now to your channel. So if you go into your analytics, the very first thing you're going to see if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you're going to see a top list of videos that are driving all the traffic over the last 28 days. So you're going to be able to decipher right there, like which videos are bringing in the most traffic. And the reason you want to make sure you're looking at that is because recency and viewer history is an important thing for YouTube, which means that when people are interacting with your content recently and they're enjoying your content, they're more likely to get recommended your additional content as well. So because of that, you want to make sure that you are looking and you're like, hey, out of these top, 30 videos, 10 of them or 15 or 20 of them are all targeted towards like advanced people. Like that's what's driving the channel right now. So because of that, let me focus on the more advanced stuff over the next 90 days, or the other way around, depending on how it works out when you look at that information. Let's see here. So Sign with Courtney says it's brilliant. I'm just pointing them back. Yeah. That's what you want to make sure that you do, Courtney, is like when you are, like when you're putting all this together, I call it a watch time trap. But the idea is like when you're putting all of this together and you are adding links in like your pinned comments, which is something that you should also do, leading them into additional content of yours that, makes sense for the viewer that's watching that video, making sure that you're using description links and that you're also utilizing playlists. So like, hey, if you're just getting started with ASL, make sure, you have to watch this playlist. Like this, by the time you're done with this playlist, you're going to, have like a good handle on like the basics. And then you have that and you're just constantly driving people into that as an example. But you want to make sure that you have, playlist links, you have pinned comments. You want to make sure that your channel page is structured properly to help the people that are coming into the channel that, that are looking for more content, be able to find it more easily. You want to make sure that all your end screens are linking to, content that is relevant to the viewer based on, what it is that they're learning in that particular video. So like in your case, since you do have your content kind of divided, I wouldn't lean on like, most recent video as the thing you put at the end. I'd be very specific about the videos that you're putting there. And I would link a video and either a best for viewer, which I would actually even be a little bit cautious with that right now, how they're trying to use that to drive people into shorts. But I would do like a video and a playlist or a video and a best for viewer if you don't have a lot of shorts on your channel. Let's see here. Okay, so we've got that one. So next up, Sir Hathafa, I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly, says, hey, Nick, how are you? I'm doing awesome. Thank you. Says, question, can I take a break? Actually, I feel a little bit bad, if I'm honest. So I was supposed to live stream with my brother tonight over in the other place, but I forgot just because I've been just kind of like laying around the house today. Because of that, I just kind of, forgot. And he sent me a message like right as I was getting ready to start the stream because he thought I was going to show up over there. And I kind of feel a little bit bad about it. A lot bad about it. Actually, if he went there and is actually like hanging out there or was hanging out there waiting, then I feel like extra bad about it. But besides that, though, everything's awesome. But let's see here. So can I take a break from my niche and upload something else without changing my channel? I upload Call of Duty videos, but I'm burnt out and I would like to upload Let's Play. So if you want to try uploading Let's Play, like give it a shot. People might, enjoy that. But if people do come to your YouTube channel for Call of Duty, then in that particular case, if you are going to play a different game, I would use your community feed and I would just spend, a few community posts asking them, like pick the next 3 games that you would like to play. And then I would say like, hey, I'm going to be doing like a Let's Play or a few Let's Plays. Which one of these would you, like to play? Or which one of these would you watch? And then by doing that a few times in your community feed with, a handful of different games, that's going to help you know that like, hey, these are the games that I want to play. And then these are the games that the audience wants to watch. So then that can kind of help you, make the decision on, on which way to move there with that. But it's totally fine if you want to do that. And if it's all within Call of Duty and you're like, hey, I have a Call of Duty channel, but I typically do like Call of Duty videos where I'm helping people solve problems in Call of Duty. But now I want to do some Let's Plays, do it. Because what you can do there is you have your regular content that, is bringing people in about Call of Duty, but you are already proving through them consuming that content that they're interested in Call of Duty. So because of that, when you live stream Let's Play of Call of Duty, some of those people are going to come hang out in your stream because they want to see your skills. They want to see how good you are. They want to, pick up your personality while you're playing the game and stuff like that. So because of that, if it's all Call of Duty and you're just wanting to change format for a while, then do it. Yeah, give it a shot. Because that other content that's on your channel, that, people still be, consuming that content and all of that. But just keep in mind, I would kind of make sure that you're paying attention to everything that's going on with the channel when you do start doing that. If you're going to start like, hey, I'm not publishing videos anymore, I'm going to start live streaming more. This is something I'm experimenting with right now too. I'm going to start live streaming more than I'm publishing video content. Then if that's the path that you're wanting to, go down, then in that particular case, just pay really close attention to your data so you can notice like, hey, when I'm doing this, maybe I'm not getting as many new viewers, but I'm having a lot more returning viewers, little things like that, so that you can kind of keep a eye on like any changes that are happening with the channel. Donnie Nunn, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Says, hello, I drive Uber in New York City in the tri-state area. A passenger suggests I use Dashcam videos to put them on YouTube. Since I drive a lot of scenic routes, I would use my own music over videos? Is it a good idea? Some people will watch those types of videos. There are channels that, do that, to where it's just, somebody driving around town. So when it comes to, taking people on like scenic, routes and things like that, people do watch that type of content. One thing, since you're not going to be talking, you're just going to be playing music, it's really going to be like a mix of like a music channel with those visuals. So because of that, I would make sure that you are just paying really close attention to any of the content that you publish that does better. And I would look at the type of music that you're using. So like, for example, you said that you're going to be using your own music over the videos. So I don't know if you just make music in one genre, but if you make music in different types of genres and you notice like, hey, this one really took off. Like, hey, I used lo-fi over here and it just did great. Then in that case, pay attention. And then if you notice something like that with, the different types of music, then in that case, start experimenting with using, the same song maybe, or using, that type of song to see, if you can get similar responses. But yeah, in terms of, is it a good idea? If you look around YouTube, there's already channels doing that. There's channels where people have the camera on them. There's channels where the people have it on front. If you just look for like dash cam videos, a lot of them will be like accident related and stuff like that, or just people, ending up in crazy situations. But some of it will be, just people driving around and that kind of stuff. They do the same thing on motorcycles where they'll have helmet cams and they'll just drive around. They'll talk to people while they're driving. Sometimes it's just music playing. So there's all kinds of stuff like that on YouTube. It's like normal here. So just, give it a shot and see how it goes. But keep in mind, when it comes to YouTube, a lot of people, when they, start YouTube channels, they'll be like, oh, hey, this is going to blow up right out of the gate. In some cases it does. But in most cases it doesn't. And there's just like a process that you have to go through. It's just like anything else, just like learning how to drive. So because of that, just kind of embrace the process and say, you know what, I'm going to just upload videos for the next like year. And I'm going to upload, X amount of videos per week. And then I'm going to use that information while I'm uploading to learn more about the things that I do that people respond to. So for example, pay attention to, like when I'm driving through the city, this keeps people watching. When I'm driving in these pretty countrysides, this keeps people watching. When I'm driving through these other scenarios, people don't seem to watch those as much. And you just pay attention to the scenery plus the speed that you're driving, things like that. And also pay attention to the music that you're using as well, so that you can use that to, to craft the content and the experience that you are sharing. Because you're probably not going to share every journey that you take, but over time, you'll start to share specific journeys based on the things that you find people, respond to the most. Sign with Courtney. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Says, thank you so much for answering my question. You have a lot of great content that I've been getting value from. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad that you are enjoying the content. My pleasure on answering the question. And I'm glad that you are enjoying the content. This stuff's tough, especially if you've never done anything like this before in terms of, like YouTube and making content for people. So, I'm happy to help and kind of demystify, some of this stuff for people. So I'm super glad that you're finding value in the content. Poop Scoop for Noobs says that they have a poop scooping business. The goal is to become the resource for other scoopers and inspire others to start their business. The question is, what are some tips and strategies I can implement on my website to drive traffic to my resources page and maximize clicks and conversions to my affiliate links to Amazon products or software that I use to run my business? So if you're using these on your website, I'm going to skip this question because we're focused on like YouTube stuff. But in terms of getting people to your website, all you got to do is just let them know that your website is available. You can even link to, once you're in the partner program, you can put a direct link to your website, like right on the video itself. They have that option for your end screen, so you can do that. But also just let people know that you have the link down in your video description. So for example, in your case, hey, if you want to see all the stuff that I use, blah, blah, blah. One, you can have the direct Amazon links in your description, so then they can just skip going to your website altogether. But if you want to send them to your website, then in that case, hey, I got this resource page. If you're interested in doing this, I've got this resource page, in my description. So make sure you go and check that out. Next. Oh, also make sure, if you are trying to get people to your website from your YouTube channel, make sure that you also put a link to your website in your channel banner. You do this through your About Me page. On a mobile, it's going to show up on your About Me page, but on a desktop computer, it'll show up on your channel banner when people hit your channel page. The reason you want to do that is because, that's one, a way people can get there. But two, when you are filling out the words for that, make sure you make it a call to action instead of like my website. Make it like, get my, checklist, or, check out my resources, or learn how to scoop, or, visit my website, or, something like that. So just put like a clear call to action there. Next up, we've got check out Angie's Wigs is the name of the next channel. They have a beauty channel. The goal of the channel is to monetize. The question is, how can I get my banner to fit? I made it on Canva. So when it comes to YouTube banners, I actually, oddly, I get this question like quite a bit. Like I get like DMs about this. So when it comes to your channel banner, there's templates all over the place on the internet in terms of, things that you can do to build the channel banner. Canva has them as well. However, when it comes to like Canva and other places, like TubeSpanner also has the option to, make channel banners and stuff. But when you are building it, just focus everything into the center, right? Focus everything into the center in terms of the information, and then just make sure the whole screen is filled up with something. So you can hop on to Google right now, and if you look for images for a what's the language for this? So if you look for the images for like YouTube channel banner template, and then you do an image search, then what's going to happen is you're going to find a bunch of images to where it'll show like lines on them. So go find one of those, make sure it's the full size. It's like 2,000 and something pixels for one of the sides. Download that, drop it into Canva, lower the transparency on it, put it all the way in the back layer, and then build within the safe area there. And then you'll be able to, export it. Make sure you delete that before you export it. And then you'll be able to have everything that you need within, the safe areas, to where on a mobile, it's going to look good, on computers, it's going to look good, and so on. Gaming with Sarah, thank you for the super chat there. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Girl on her passport says, look for a layover that, a layout or layover. Yeah. That gives the lines, and then overlay it in Canva. Yep. You know what? I think somewhere either me or my brother, have this that you can get. Hold on. Nimmin, channel banner template. Like I'm just going to look. Yeah. So if you type in Nimmin channel banner template, the very first image that pops up, I believe, is from him. Hold on. Yep. Yeah, it takes you to his channel. And then I think down here in the video description, I'm just going to drop a link for you right here. Okay. Yeah, so if you go to this video right here, down in his video description, you want to look for a banner template free, and then there's a banner template backup. So one of them, either one, will drive you into an image that you'll be able to download and overlay directly into Canva or any other software that you use for it. So it looks like the image or the YouTube one is actually small, just as a heads up, D. When I click on that one, it comes up really small. So you'd need to stretch that one out. But the one that you can get on Image UR, that one's better. Oh, it's not letting it go large. Oh, because I'm not signed in, that's why. Either way, even if you get a small one like this, what you can do, and here I'm just going to share the screen real quick just so you can kind of see what I'm looking at here. So this is what you want, and technically you could even screenshot it. But what you want for this, this image right here is what you're looking for. So if you go to Nimmin, if you look on Google for Nimmin channel banner, or channel banner template, I think is what I looked for, then this image is what you're going to see. So if you click on that, then you'll be able to download, what it is that you need. Even if it's small, just stretch it out, right? Because you're just using it for the guides, right? So just stretch it out, and then even if it's blurry, doesn't matter. Build everything on top of it, and then just delete that before you export your channel banner. Getting into like technical stuff here. Shared the screen a couple times today. This is good. Okay, so let's see here. So next up on our list here, we've got number 23, cruising right along. Love it. So we have, I'm not sure how to say this name. So just as a heads up, when you do names like this, it's something vibes. When you do these, it makes it really hard for people to recommend your content. So just keep that in mind when it comes to your channel name. But it's a tarot card channel. The goal of the channel is they want to reach and help those heal in need of massages or messages and guidance from spirit. The question is, hey, Nick, my question is, I have a new channel and I'm trying to grow and learn as I go. I have one video that gets pushed out to be seen from the algorithm, but not the rest. And I'm trying to reach my goal of getting monetized. Any advice? So I went through this before in terms of how, the system works. So it's not that your video is getting pushed out by YouTube's algorithm. What's happening is that people are responding better to that video than the other videos. And because people are responding to it better and more competitively, then what's happening is YouTube is showing it to more people, like the people that are enjoying it, right? So the videos that are not getting, that attention, I would compare the one that is or the ones that are against the ones that are not in your YouTube analytics. And when you do this, this is going to help you be able to see like, oh, okay, this is why these are doing better than these. Because you'll be able to, compare like your click-through rate. You'll be able to compare all your engagement. You'll be able to compare the retention of your videos. You'll be able to compare the different traffic sources in terms of like, hey, this one's getting a lot of attention from YouTube search. This one's getting none. This one's getting a lot of attention from home pages. This one's getting, a little bit, those types of things to where it'll really just help paint a picture about, why one video performs over another. Let's see here. So next up, we've got the Landlord Advocates. They do education content. The goal of the channel is to help those in the real estate industry. And the question is, hey, Nick, what's going on? Hope you're doing awesome. Says, we just uploaded a YouTube short and we could not create a clickable thumbnail for it. Could you help us with a solution? YouTube stated in the content page that we could not create a thumbnail at this time. As always, thanks. Yeah, so when it comes to YouTube Shorts, as of right now, they're not allowing us to add the thumbnails to them. So what you can currently do is if you're on an Android device, then you can pick a screenshot out of something that's already happening in the video, but you can't upload like a custom thumbnail like you can long form content at this moment in time. You used to be able to, then they took it away. Hopefully they'll bring it back, but we'll see how it goes. A girl on her passport says they do travel content. I know that already. The goal of the channel is to assist people with travel and inspire them to travel. The question is, during the pandemic, I niched down to just Greece travel, but now trying to expand. I know that this will take some time, but I also don't want to alienate my current subscribers and viewers. Still trying to make some Greece content. Some watching everything, but a lot do not. Any ideas? Absolutely. So when it comes to the general content that we were talking about before, then what's going to happen is you're going to have some people that are watching, a lot of that. Some people will watch that temporarily and then they won't watch anymore until they travel next time and so on. Other people that are interacting with your channel are going to watch the Greece content. However, the people that are traveling to Greece, those people can also get value out of that, general content that, gives them general travel tips. So when it comes to that, I would look at it through the perspective, kind of like I do with my content in terms of like, hey, some of this content is like news content that's going to attract a certain audience. Some of this content is like YouTube help content, which is also going to attract a different audience. But there's crossover, right? So then some of that content, like your Greece content, you're going to be the people that are, you're going to have some of the people that are like really into that content, but they won't really pay much attention to the general content. And then it'll be vice versa as well, to where some people will just find that general content. They're like, hey, these are some great tips. I'm going to watch those, but I'm never going to Greece, so I don't care about that. Ideally, finding stuff to make that would, serve both. So that you could just run it down the middle and they would watch everything on the channel would be the ultimate win. But based on the content type, that's more challenging, especially when you're trying to solve seasonal problems in terms of just for everybody that doesn't know, like when tourism's down over there, then, kind of creates this lull that happens on the channel. Or just a lower amount of activity. So because of that, the thing that I recommended was that through, just brainstorming on, different, approaches is that, making some general travel content then can help even when Greece is down, people are still traveling to other places. So then in that particular case, that allows her to be able to, have a certain sustainability with the channel over time with the general content as well. So then what you're doing is you're having two different pillars there. One of them is the general content for the people that are just traveling wherever. And then the other one is for the people that are just really into Greece. And then you'll be able to have some crossover, back and forth. Let's see here. So next up on the list, We've got Her Heel Review. Thanks for the super chat. It says, Nick, thank you for everything. Could you discuss or record a video on absolute best free editing software trying to cut costs? So when it comes to free editing software, there is DaVinci Resolve. Keep in mind when it comes to DaVinci Resolve, it can be taxing on your computer. So that is typically the go-to for free resources, but it's pretty robust. Like it can do a lot of, really like it's good software, but it's just a little bit labor intensive on the computer. Hey, Tiffany, no sweat. And we can talk about that more like, in live streams and stuff. Like if you, in the member streams, we can talk about that, a little bit more. If you want to isolate one of the streams, because one of the things that I'm doing, actually based on yours and Amy's recommendation, is I think I have it scheduled for, I think it's either this coming week or the following week. I'm going to put the form in there asking for very specific things so that we can hop on, the streams and start tackling like individual problems as well. So when I post that in there, definitely make sure that we do that. Make sure that you put that information in there, and then we'll spend a whole stream on it with everybody brainstorming on, like different things there. Christina Smallhorn, what's going on? Hope you're doing fantastic. Says no holidays to report. Hey, you actually missed some. I missed Valentine's Day. I didn't even know, I was like, what do you mean Valentine's Day was yesterday? Right. So like, I'm actually like a little bit kind of like, I don't know if I can depend on her for these holiday reports. No, I'm just kidding. I remembered Valentine's Day, of course. I'm not a monster, but yeah. That's cool. Hey, thanks for swinging by. Hope you're doing awesome, Christina. So let's see here. So yeah, really quick, let me get back to the free stuff. DaVinci Resolve is a free editing software. If you want to do stuff on like a tablet or phone, CapCut is solid. It's free. They might have some like paid versions of it, I think, or maybe some paid options, but I'm pretty sure like a majority of CapCut is free. I know that in some cases they might put like a watermark at the end of it, but you can just go in there and just edit that out. Like if you're on an iPhone, for example, you can just go in and just trim the video once it's saved as a video, and then that removes, that. So that's not a big deal. In terms of other things that you can do for free, so in DaVinci Resolve, you can edit your video for free. There's software called Audacity. That is audio processing software that is free, that you can use to process your audio, kind of normalize the signal, maybe add some EQ, those types of things. Those will also, both of those really give you all you need. So you could use DaVinci Resolve to edit, and then use Audacity to process your audio if you process your audio. National Margarita Day is Wednesday. That's a holiday I can get behind. That is a holiday I can get behind. We actually have there's a Mexican restaurant here that is, like my favorite Mexican restaurant of all time. And yeah, that might be like a Wednesday thing. Maybe I'll see if I can make up. I was supposed to stream with D today, Roger, and I forgot. And I think he went over and was like preparing everything and all of that. And so I might have to take him to lunch or something at Salsa Kitchen for Margarita Day to make up for it. And I'm not sure what that emoji means. What does that emoji mean? I'm not sure what that is. It's like a face going into a puddle. Is that what it is? Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. So let's see here. So next up, we've got I'm Worth It. Liberty is her name. And she does entertainment for entertainers, mindset, movies, and music. The goal of the channel is to help entertainers learn how to make money and do technical stuff, very similar to what we do over here. And the question is, Nick, I've been here, kind of embarrassing for years. I was running from domestic violence and trying to find myself after college. So I started, and I didn't know how to make it private. But God showed me when people Googled me that I needed to make this professional. I've learned so much from you and Daryl and our friends, and I'm getting good. Not succinct, but I've had to say that. I'm not sorry. Appreciate you. 2 questions. 1, when I use your song on my next episode, how can I promote you in a way that's tasteful and would get the most for you? So just as a heads up, if it's the Mug song, that one we don't make publicly available for everybody. That's like for me in the live stream. But for creator music or for creator mix, for that, you can just put a link down in the description, just a little thing saying, music by, that would be awesome. But you don't even have to do that. But it's just, just a solid, just letting people know where you got it from helps us out, in the long run. But it says, excuse me. Also, if I'm using filters, characters on another app like Snapchat, I can legally use those in my episodes, right? I'm not sure. I think the filters are fine, But like when it comes to adding like stickers and things like that, I would be careful there. But it says there's no watermarks or anything. Lots of love to Daniel Roberto and the amazing people here, especially Chantel. God bless us all. Hug Popcorn, your awesome girlfriend. Get here on a show with you. Thank you for all of your love and support and wisdom, Liberty. So thank you for that. Yeah, so just like a link to Creator Mix. But again, like it's not required, but we just super appreciate it when people do, kind of help spread awareness about those. Because then, it's just more. And just a heads up in terms of awareness. So for those of you that are not familiar, so Creator Mix is what she's talking about there, is a music service that we created for content creators. It's free. So if you're using currently like Epidemic Sound, stuff like that, like they're cool for like sound effects and they have really great music as well. But if you're like, hey, I want to save some money and all that, we have Creator Mix where you can use the music for free in your videos. If you're a live streamer, you can stream it in the background, like whatever, it's totally fine. But you can find that at creatormix.com. And while I'm here and I'm talking about stuff, actually, I'll do that one in a second. I'll go do it now. For TubeSpanner users that are not currently using your notepad, just a reminder to do so. I should have actually said that 2 hours ago. But if you're not familiar with TubeSpanner, I do want to let everybody know about that as well. They actually have a browser extension that helps you with your YouTube channel, helps you with uploading efficiently. You can add preset uploads and a bunch of them. You can add very specific parts of your description. So for example, if you have an affiliate disclaimer, you can just have that as one box and you can just add that to the videos where you need it. You can have, you have fully customizable set of, they're called tokens that you can just click on and then you'll just add them right to your video description to really help you cruise through those. And you can share your content directly from the YouTube interface onto Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So you can basically say okay, go to the share tab and then you select the video that you want from a drop down. And then you say, this is the thing, and you can schedule it, there to share on whatever it is that you want, or you can share it immediately at that moment in time. Plus it has a bunch of cool stuff, like a notepad, that you can take notes on any video on YouTube. You can even use it to download chapters from your videos as well. All kinds of really awesome stuff in there, but you can check that out at tubespanner.com. Let's see here. Yeah. Shark Scrapper says TubeSpanner is also a good source for bad dad jokes. Absolutely. Yeah. So she's actually traveling right now, but she typically comes in and will drop a dad joke per live stream, and they're pretty funny. I'm hoping that she'll eventually do a coffee table book or something. The next channel that we have here is Michael Walsh. Michael Walsh says that they do bi-weekly content. They've been on YouTube for less than 6 months. The type of channel is drone and tech. The goal of the channel is to inspire others into the world of tech and into the world around them. The question is, can you do another breakdown on a YouTube channel? Getting traction on my video, but I'm sure that I'll make mistakes along the way. Everybody makes mistakes along the way. I've been doing this for a long time. I still make mistakes too. It's just part of the process, right? So every mistake that you make, you learn from that mistake, and then it just helps you get better for the next time. It's just part of the process. And if we weren't making mistakes, we wouldn't be growing in any capacity, right? If everything was always perfect, then that means that we're not growing. So, and I'm not just saying growing in terms of getting subscribers or views, but I mean just growing as people and our understanding and, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the breakdowns on the channel or looking at the channel, we do that during our monetization live streams, which are different than these. These are basically where I'm just answering, everybody's questions to try to help people demystify what it is that they're doing on YouTube and just add clarity to, a lot of the, things that happen here on the platform. And the monetization streams are where we actually pull up channels, and we don't really give best practices channel reviews there like we used to do. Instead, now the monetization channel reviews are for people that are trying to make money from their YouTube channels. So we basically pull up a channel and then we just brainstorm on different ways that they might be able to make money from the content that they're putting out. Christina says best learning comes from mistakes. Boy, does it. Boy, does it. I've learned a lot. A lot. Yeah, mistakes. Oh, so many. So next up, we got How We Got Here Genealogy. Says that they do family history, education, and storytelling content. The goal of the channel is to create evergreen content that will help in eventual retirement. The question is, I woke up this morning and have 106 more subscribers than 5 hours ago, and that I did last night, but no new views. But no new videos recently. But I redid a few of my videos using Google Trends for the title phraseology that you suggested. Thanks, Nick. Your channel membership is the best $5 a person who wants to grow can spend. Thank you, and to all of the Nimminati. That's awesome. So basically, one of the things, and this is something for everybody to keep in mind too, since he shared this here. So basically, one of the things that we did, and I actually spelled it wrong, is something that I came to find out later. But one of the things that we did is, because he has a genealogy channel, we hopped into Google Trends and we looked for ways that people are looking for his type of content. So instead of cramming it into the box of genealogy, we were like, okay, are they looking for like family history more? Are they looking for genealogy? And we might have even looked for, a few other things as well. But basically what we found through looking at Google Trends in terms of how the general public is thinking about it, because if you're a genealogist, like, he is and like Amy is, then in that case, it's like, like they think of it in terms of genealogy and family history. But the goal was we're trying to figure out, how people look for those types of things at scale. So we, in that process, one of the things that we did is we just put in, the two different phrases that people might be, or two different ways that people might be trying to find that content. And we found out that they were looking for the alternative a lot more, that they were just using that language. And the idea of using that information is when you are thinking about those types of things, and we're thinking as content creators of how we're going to connect to the people that we're trying to reach, one of the ways that you do that is through speaking to them in the language that they speak. So in that particular case, figuring out like, hey, people are looking, they're thinking of genealogy in this way. So then you make those adjustments like, hey, they're thinking of it in this way, so let me present it in that way, right? So another thing is, like on my channel, an example that I like to give for this is, you can use this even down to the little tiny details. Like, for example, on my channel, when I talk about, when I make videos about TubeBuddy, since those are typically like search targeted videos, one of the things that I do is I, will go and I'll use any product that I might be a little bit confused on how people might be looking for it. I'll hop on Google Trends and I'll be like, hey, are people looking for this as one word? Are they looking for it for 2 words? Or like, how are they actually trying to find this? And then I'll get that information and then I'll write my title based around how people are thinking about it, right? Like, how are people looking for this? Because that means if people are looking for it more that way, then more people are thinking about it that way. So when you're writing your title, one of the things that it does is it helps you communicate with the people that you're trying to reach in the language that they use to find the content, or just to identify the content that you're making. So that's the approach there for everybody else. Let's see here. So next up on the list here, we've got Elku, the Variety Gamer. They upload 1 time per week or more. They have a gaming channel for Let's Plays videos mainly. Give me 1 second here.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Check. Okay, I'm just gonna do a level check here. Is that coming through okay? I'm just gonna stand up here for a second, maybe have to move around. I can do this with my other microphone. Scratch that, hold on. All right. So I'm just going to do this. Yeah, my back from sitting in that chair is like a little bit weird. No, I'm not going to rap, Christina. I've actually got a song pinned to the very top of the comments right now. That is a rap. It's a rap about coffee. It's my taking a break song. If I need to I'll just say get a coffee, but like if I need to use the restroom or if I need to stretch out or something, then I'll play that. But Christina's like, I wanted him to rap. So. Let's see here. So the Variety Gamer says, I'm really passionate about games and I want to share my love with games for others. Also, I'd love if I could someday do this as a job. The question is, hey, is there any way to tag your channel as a gaming channel on your own, or is it something YouTube will automatically eventually tag the channel as? I've been making gaming videos for 4 months now on Social Blade. It doesn't show up as a channel type. Might just be a Social Blade problem as well. But is there something that I need to do on my own to tell YouTube that I produce gaming content so YouTube will know to show it for that audience, or is it just a matter of time? So the best thing that you can do is to make sure that your titles and everything are all about the game. And then by doing that, YouTube will be able to decipher that over time. So you can find other channels in YouTube gaming as well. So when people are looking around YouTube gaming for those things, then they'll end up showing up over there anyway. So just by making content about the games, you'll end up identifying yourself to the platform, so to speak, as a gaming channel. Next up, we've got genealogy with Amy Johnson Crow. We're like all about genealogy for these few minutes here. She does bi-weekly content. The type of channel is family history. That's what I'm talking about. The goal of the channel is encourage people to explore their family history and grow my business. And the question is, do you have suggestions for how to position light panels so you don't get reflections or glare in your glasses? I'm using 2 LCD panels. I don't really have space for a softbox. Absolutely. So, Nimmin Live, all genealogy, all the time. I love it. So when it comes to, I am going to grab the microphone for this one. So when it comes to positioning your, just doing a quick audio level check. Not sure if this is going to be crazy or not, but let me turn the automation off and let me go to wide. Okay, so when it comes to positioning your lights, what you want to do is you want to have your light above your vertical plane of sight. So for example, like me, I'm animated, right? So like when I talk and stuff, make videos, like I try to hold it together, but you know, sometimes I'll, you know, use my hands a lot. I have this thing where I'll like point, you know, here a lot. I don't know why, it's just a thing that I do. But basically, since I move around a lot, one of the things that I do is I have my lights that are up above that vertical plane. So if I'm moving my head back and forth, then there's no light that can glare, right? So because of that, if you put them a little bit further away, if you can, and then raise them up above that plane of sight, then that will keep the that'll keep the glare out of your glasses. Now, one thing you do have to be careful of is you do have to be careful about like the light that you're using. So you mentioned that you don't use a softbox because, you know, you don't have the space for it. One thing that can be beneficial though, when it comes to using a softbox, especially if you're wearing glasses and especially if you put the lights up like that, or really just using light at all, when you soften the light, it also softens the shadows. That's why people use softboxes. So because of that, I'm going to show you something really quick. I'm going to play the Brian G. Johnson video while I grab this because it's going to take me about 30 seconds, but I'm going to show you something that might be a solution for you that you can use. So I'm going to play a video for you here really quick.
Check, 1, 2.
I'm B to the G, it's easy to see what you need, it's attention from me. I'll give you the shout, get back on the grind and you'll be down for the count, trying to breathe. Your favorite is me, now you hate with the diss. All of that hair hanging there like a chick, man give me a break. You're standing too close to the camera like Nick. Where's the claim that you say Filmora is hate? Call me a thief for the titles you hate. I taught you to rank, you seem to forget it. I hit it and quit it, and you try to walk in my wake. I'm tossing you weight, giving you shine, giving you clout by doing this with my time. And what I'm about, I am your guide. You come to my console, but now you're denied. You wanna throw shade. It's too late, I already got it made. You wanna bring hate. Hit the road, hater, cause I'm not phased.
If you're messing with G, you're messing with me. The name is Nimmin, I'll bend in a knee. Disturbing the peace, I'll come back into battle and murder a beat. I heard you eat worms like a bird, like a tree. Just like these words of defeat, I think Beanie should draw you and make you a T. They're waiting on me, who's waiting on you? If it wasn't for Johnson, you wouldn't have views or a clue. You wouldn't know what to do. The only extremes I see is your food. This is just weak, yes, I mean to be rude. Change of your scene, technique, everything about you and the future you seek. It's bleak, I don't mean to allude to the fact that you racked up a debt with the best in this feud. You just got wrecked by the crew.
You wanna throw shade. It's too late, I already got it made.
Okay. So when it comes to diffusing your light, so if you're using LED panels like this, then one thing that you can do, and you can get these on Amazon, is you can get these. So this is a really small softbox that you can use for LED panels. And basically how it works is it has this thing in the back, and you can use it for a bunch of different size panels as well. But it has this thing in the back. It comes with, I think, like 2 or 3 different straps. So if your LED panel's on a tripod, then basically you can just put this over it and just kind of like lean it on the panel. And then you use these straps to make sure that, you know, it doesn't fall off or whatever. And then basically how the whole thing comes together is your light will, you know, be either back behind it like this, or it'll actually be inside, and then of course held up by the tripod or whatever, depending on how everything's set up. But basically what that does is that will still give you that diffusion. It'll still soften the light for you and keep it'll make the shadows around your glasses more soft. And in addition to that, another thing is, like, when you soften the light like that, one of the things that it also does is it's just a more flattering image, because like the reason that people use softboxes when they're recording people is because excuse me, the reason people use softboxes when they're recording people is because when you are using undiffused light, it makes the shadows harsh. So since the shadows are harsh, then what happens is, like, wrinkles will stand out. Sometimes, depending on like where the lights are positioned, it can put like harsh shadows like next to your nose, or like here, like you see these lines, it would make these lines like a lot more intense as well. But when the light is softened, what it does is, if you can imagine a drop shadow, right? If you're in like Photoshop or Canva or something, and you are using a drop shadow, and then you have it at like 0, to where, there's no, diffusion on that drop shadow, and it's just that hard shadow, right? But then as you start moving it up and it starts, like softening that shadow, then it becomes just like a, nice shadow, but it gets to the point to where you can almost not even tell there's like a real shadow on it because it's so wide. So that's kind of what the diffusion does with the light, is when it hits your, when it hits your face, then it cuts down on the extreme nature of that light hitting you. So you can sort of technically do this if you just turn the light down, but it's still not the same. You'll find that if you get one of those things, or technically, you can do other things too. Like, you can go, if you're like, hey, I don't want to spend, I think that thing's like $20 or something on Amazon. But if you're like, hey, I don't want to buy that. If you have just something large and white around your place, you can even use that. Technically, you can even hang, like, if you have like a white bed sheet, or a white pillowcase, or even a white t-shirt, you could even hang like that. Technically, you'd probably have to cut it. But basically, you could even hang that in front of it and just turn the light up a little bit to compensate for the light that it takes away. And then even that will diffuse the light a little bit. You can also use, what's it called? It's not called baking paper. But it's basically like the paper. It's like a wax paper. Maybe it's called wax paper, but you can like put it, you can like cook with it and stuff like that. You can use that as like a DIY diffusion as well. Just, you can experiment with those types of things. And that will, that will help with that. So how we got here, genealogy says, I'm large and white, but still have issues. Parchment paper. There we go. Yeah. Parchment paper, freezing paper, whatever it's called. Hopefully you'll get the idea there on that. But yeah, so if you do have like large diffusion and you still have those issues, then the next thing would be to move the light farther away if you can, or turn the light down and then make the adjustments on your camera to open that up a little bit, because what could be happening is the light could still be coming through more intense, even though it's getting diffused. So because of that, you'd want to adjust the light to where it's turned down a bit, but then you compensate for it by maybe raising your ISO a little bit in your camera or something like that. So like in my case, like, I'm not sure, like on camera, like the room looks pretty dark. And it's because really it is like, I mean, it's light. And there's a lot of light like bouncing around the room, but like really like these lights are turned down to like almost off. I mean, not really off, but I mean, they're at like some of the lowest settings for my video lights, the ones that are hitting me from the front. And the reason for that is I want to have that light coming out soft and diffused. And then I'll, adjust the camera accordingly in order to try to make everything look as soft as possible. So she says, a lot of my issues, the lights are too low to the plane where I'm positioned. Yeah, if you just raise them up a little bit, then that'll help. But the reason that I'm going through the explanation on the shadow is what's probably going to happen. And this is going to depend on the style of your glasses, exactly how they sit on your face and stuff. But one of the problems that you can run into is when you raise the lights up, then it's going to hit your frames different. And when it hits your frames different, sometimes it can cause the shadow to end up like coming down a little bit, and then it can end up like looking weird. So if you find that happens, that's where you have to kind of double up on the diffusion and figure out how to, kind of soften that shadow. So then it becomes to where you can't even like really tell unless you're really looking for it. Let's see here. So next up on our list, we've got Hobbygenics. Hobbygenics says that the goal of their channel is to share what I do and grow an income stream. The question is, I have 2 channels linked to one email account, one email and Google account. Is there a way to separate them with 2 emails and Google accounts in case something happens to one another? 2 channels linked to one email and Google account. You can move YouTube channels to different email addresses. You can do that. It's been so long since I've done that I'm not sure the process now. I mean, it's been like a really long time since I've needed to do that with clients. So I'm not sure now the process to actually do that. I'm like 90% sure that you can still do that, but you used to be able to. So I would just hop on like Google and then go to like the Google help pages and see if you can find an article over there that will help you with that. Wish I could help you more on that one, but I can't remember just because it's been so long since I've had to mess with that. Let's see here. Yeah, I get monitor reflections. I do get that. So there's other things you can do there too. Like, for example, because I see Chantel, she says that's his monitor reflection if she's talking about like, some of the other reflections I get. So basically I have, this monitor that's right here in front of me. So I have this monitor right here. And with this monitor, you can see I have these 2 like white panels that are on this monitor. This one might actually be better. Yeah, okay, so here we go. So you can see right here, I have this white panel, and you can see when I put my hand here, you can see all the white that's coming off of that. So one thing that I do, so for my news live streams, because that one I use a green screen, so everything gets like really weird with that. So one thing that I do is I have a plugin, and let me see if I can turn this on here, and you'll be able to see it if you just watch this screen right here. But this plugin, it's called dark mode, and when I turn that on, it's a browser extension. When I turn that on now, it takes that away. Right. So the problem when it comes to monitor glare is it's the color of what's happening on your screen. So like if you have a lot of white on the screen, then what's going to happen is it's going to, that can get in your glasses and all that stuff. But if you do change it to dark mode, then it removes a lot of those issues as well. So so Christina Smallhorn says, "Does coatings on your glasses help?" So I have these other glasses. I have these, and with these have the coating on them, but unfortunately the coating with video lights causes this like weird, it's like a purple, you can even see it, like see when I move these like right there, like the color that comes into them, it's like a weird purplish thing. So because of that, when I changed glasses, I didn't get the coating on them for that particular reason. They probably make, like no glare glasses or something like that these days. But I just haven't, like over here, I haven't been able to, find them, or really, like I haven't even really like looked that hard. So they're probably available. But I just haven't looked that hard to try to solve that outside of just taking the glare off. Irvine Mesa is our next question. Silver Seeker says, "Love your setup, man. Legit." Thank you. Yeah, this is it's been a work in progress, still a work in progress. If I'm honest, but basically like the setup I've got. Like over here to run the thing, this is a ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, but you can get the smaller versions of these to where it has like 4 buttons on it instead of the 8, to where you have 4 inputs. And then the cool thing is I have macros on here to where if I wasn't standing up right now, I can turn this on and it'll just switch automatically, through all the different cameras. And then that will, kind of make it seem like there's like somebody controlling it or whatever, but it just kind of makes everything a little bit more interesting, gives people something to look at when people are hanging out here for a long time. And then down here, this is the Rodecaster Pro. This is how I, process the audio to make sure everything sounds good. I have the backup mic in there as well in case I have a problem with this one or whatever. And yeah, pretty much it. And then the cameras. This is a Sony A7S III. I just recently put that one here for the main setup. I used to just have this as my B-roll camera, and I use the A6500 here. But I just decided to, just upgrade it once I got the 35 millimeter lens for it and just use it on a regular basis here. And then this one here, the corner one, is a A6500 Sony with a 16 millimeter 1.4 lens. This one is also that same exact camera with the same exact lens. This one over here is a Canon 90D with a, what is this? I think it's like a 18 to 35, I believe, lens on that particular one. And then I have some other ones too. Like I've got the GoPro up here that's not turned on currently. And I used to have a back camera, but that one's gone. I've actually moved that one over to the studio that I was supposed to be in tonight streaming with my brother. And then I also have another, what's it called? It's a Sony ZV-1, I think it is, that I also had as an extra shot as well. But yeah, it's fun. I like tinkering with this stuff. It just makes the whole thing, it just makes it, kind of fun, and just trying to, perfect it and make things look cool and, all of that. Hey, MJ Recording. Hope you're doing awesome. So let's see here. So next up, we've got Irvine Mesa. Irvine Mesa says they do web coding tutorials. The goal of the channel is to teach entry-level web developers introduction to web coding, HTML, and CSS. The question is, I get about 6,000 views per month. I just added some affiliate links for selling online courses, but viewers are not buying. What do you think I should do for my viewers to buy? First off, make sure you're spreading awareness about the courses, because sometimes people will put stuff in their description, but they don't let people know they have things down there. So you got to make sure you are letting people know that you have things available in your video description so they can know to go down there to get them. Next, consider the content that you're making. So for example, like if you have a video and you're teaching somebody how to, do something in like CSS, and if they're searching for that, like, hey, I'm trying to fix this problem in CSS, then they might be in the actual flow of actually building something, and they're just trying to figure out how to make it, move over, this side with this much padding on it, right? So they might just be trying to solve that problem. They're not really interested in buying a course right now. Whereas if you are making if you make a video on like the best courses for, web developers, then in that particular case, the people that would click on that video would be more primed for that information. Or if you could do like reviews. So as part of your, content cadence, you could have like a monthly review video that you do, to where you're like, hey, I went through this course and this is my feedback. I do this every month. So if you are, wanting to learn faster and you are buying courses, then, make sure you check into these videos. But this video is a review on this particular course. And then you go through, you talk about the pluses and or the positives and negatives of that course. And then you let people know that you have a link to it down in the description if it's something, if it ends up being positive. But I would also throw some bad ones in there too, just so that you can, just be transparent and just let people know, hey, this one isn't that great. So watch this video on this other one that I made, so that you can, go into like one that you're going to learn the most from, those types of things. But the idea is to make sure that you are spreading awareness and make sure that the intent of the viewer when they're watching the content would be a good prime for them actually making a purchase, right? So when you're promoting stuff, we talk about this a lot in the monetization streams that we do, but when you're promoting something as an affiliate, you can go like the passive approach, which is where you just put links in your description, don't really say much about them, but they're just down there. And then you have the active approach, which is where you're like, I'm trying to bring attention to these. So you're letting people know, oh, hey, by the way, I got helpful links down in the video description, or like, hey, if you're just getting started in, web development, make sure you check out the video description. I have a ton of stuff down there. It's going to help you out in a bunch of different ways. Just by saying that in your videos when you're making them will be a way that you spread awareness for the people that are like, oh, hey, I am getting started. Maybe I'll check the description. Maybe I'll end up, clicking on and buying some of that stuff that's down there. So just making sure that you are being intentional with what it is that you're doing. And when you are being active versus passive on the affiliate side, it does come down to your content decisions as well, and making sure that you are making some content that is designed for the sole purpose of bringing attention to those things for people that are in the process of considering buying those things or looking for those solutions. We talk about this extensively in the monetization streams that we do. Vilder Art is our next question. They have an art channel. The goal of the channel says, I want to be making a living with my art and video content. The question is, I'm currently in the process of pivoting my content from short animation art related fan content for a specific game to original art related content, longer form videos. Are there any tips you have for people wanting to pivot the content on their channel, especially if you've already built somewhat of an audience on that channel already? So one thing that YouTube recommends that you take a 70-20-10 approach. Basically 70% of the content that you put out over, let's say like the next 90 days, while you're in the process of this pivot, is content that is already driving the channel, right? Content that that you can count on to, kind of serve the audience to, that people will come in and enjoy. And then the 20% is content that is for the purpose of moving in the new direction. And then 10% is content that's moving in the new direction, but it's wildly experimental. So for example, let's say that you're, just because we were talking about that coding channel, no, we'll just do art. So since you're doing art, let's say that you are going, which you are, you're going from the fan content to original art. So then in that particular case, you make some of that fan content, and then maybe as some of the wildly experimental stuff, you start making some of that fan content, but then you do it in a way that only people that might be interested in like your original art might tap into it. So for example, instead of just using stuff from the games, you make something completely original, but it's still symbolic of that game in some way, so that, some of those people would still come in, but then they'd be impressed by your original art. And then the 20% is like, hey, I'm just doing the original art, with these videos. And then using that, you are basically still serving the audience that you have while slowly introducing them to the new content that you have, while also having a little bit of crossover there with the wildly experimental stuff, so that you can start building up the audience for the new direction that you're going without just completely just doing like a 180 on the channel. And then all of a sudden you're publishing stuff that your current viewers don't care about anymore. You're doing it in a way that's a little bit slower, but it's intentional. And that gives you time to build that audience up for the new direction that you are going with the content. Next up, we got Stormy Sky Rail Productions. They do trains and weather content. The goal is to have fun and eventually make money. And the question is, thanks for the tip on the throat coat tee. It works great. How many days in advance do you recommend scheduling a premiere? Thanks for all your help. So if you don't have a lot of people interacting with your channel, schedule it, a decent amount of days in advance, like publish a video, give that video, a little bit of time to breathe, maybe like a day or two, and then, start promoting the premiere. If you have like an engaged audience, then technically you can do it like the day before. Technically, you can do it same day, depending on the time of day that you publish. But just give it enough time to where a decent amount of your audience will have time to actually see the premiere, so that they can click that reminder to come in and watch. Next up, we've got Chain Samai's Kitchen. They do cooking and baking content. The goal is to share my passion with others and make some side income. The question is, hey, Nick, what do you think about a branded intro video for my cooking channel? The idea is I edit each step of my cooking video into a 6-second video for an intro. If people comment a disrespectful comment, should I remove a report? Should I reply back? Thanks for all you do. If they comment a disrespectful comment, take the words that are disrespectful, put them in your blocked words list. I have a whole part about that that you can watch on the replay because we'll have timestamps in here. So make sure you look for that. But the second one is no, don't do the intro. You can try it. If you try it, look in your audience retention reports, and you're likely to see a dip in viewership during there. It might be a skip, or it might be where people start abandoning the video during that. If you notice that you take even a small percentage hit in people leaving during that intro, you want to lose it. And the reason for that is because looking at it from the perspective of one video is like, okay, so I lost, 5% of the viewers during this video so that I could show this intro, not a big deal, don't care. However, if you take that idea and you scale it across 100 videos, all of a sudden that becomes a substantial amount of people that you're missing the opportunity to connect with because it was more important to show your logo and this whole branded intro thing. So because of that, I really encourage you to, if you want to do it, test it if you want to, but you'll see what I mean once you do. But typically what happens is when people, play those types of intros in their videos, is people will abandon the video during that. So because of that, if anybody here has an intro, go look in your audience retention reports, see if people are leaving during that intro. And if they are, stop using your intro. Like, get into the content, give them what it is that they're coming in there for, instead of, come up with something else. If you're like, hey, I just want to get that extra 6 seconds out of people, come up with something else. Come up with, maybe a hook that maybe is a little bit longer, or, maybe it's a little bit more detailed, or, something like that to make up for that 6 seconds if you're like really wanting it. But, people don't come onto YouTube to watch intros. They come onto YouTube to watch content. So the branded intro thing, back in the day, that was a big deal. And in some cases, it can still hold attention in some cases. But in most cases, it's not. In most cases, it's not going to. So because of that, that's why I said, experiment with it and see, how your audience responds. But if you notice that there's any type of drop during that 6 seconds, which I'm telling you, there's going to be. But if you're like, hey, I just want to try it, then you're going to see that there's that drop, and then you should, remove it from that point forward. Let's see here. Next up, we have Rapid Repair DIY. Rapid Repair DIY does home improvement DIY videos. The goal of the channel is to help people and become an authority in the home repair field. And the question is, 3 months on YouTube so far, 720 subs. When should I apply for Amazon affiliate links? So if you are getting regular views on your videos, then you can go ahead and apply for the Amazon program like now. When you get approved for that, keep in mind that you have like a 90-day period where you have to send at least one sale, or else they'll take the account down and then you're gonna have to reapply again later. So that's why I say to make sure that you are getting, at least some consistent views on your channel. And also make sure that before you apply, that you are thinking about the specific ways that you're going to bring attention to those links, so that the moment you're approved, that you can go into content mode, or as Renee says, you can get to contenting. And then when you get to contenting and making your videos, then you can say like, okay, these videos, I'm trying to bring attention to these things. So I got to make sure that I'm, letting people know I have these descriptions, make sure I'm using these products or whatever, so that you can, intentionally bring awareness to the links that you have available to make sure that you hit that qualifier initially. It might be 2 sales. Yeah, it's either 1 or 2. But basically you just want to make sure that you are, hitting that qualification. So you just want to make sure that you have a plan in place in terms of bringing attention to that. So what I recommend that you do is the streams that that I have on my channel. I think I've got like 4 or 5 of them now for the monetization streams. Go and watch those, or just listen to them in the background if you want, because within those I talk a lot about affiliate marketing and a lot of information about ways to bring attention to links and being intentional about the content, viewer intent, things like that. Let's see here. You apply for Amazon affiliate by, if you just go to Google and you look for Amazon Associates program, then you should have, one of the first links that pop up will take you there. The beauty food chick. Let's see here. Next up, we've got Going Crazy in the Kitchen. They have a food channel. The goal of the channel is to reach an audience that enjoy my videos, some more than now. The question is, I'm a typical Swedish foodie. I cook Italian once a day and Swedish childhood memories another, Japanese the third, and a Senegalese stew the fourth. Is this hurting the channel? Should I niche down, or at least niche down to a series for some well-specific food? My channel is in English because Sweden is too small of a country for my taste. So if you're a food channel and you notice that people are responding better to your Swedish food, or better to the Italian food, or better to the Japanese food, making more of that content might be something to consider. But if you're a food channel and you're sharing food, then I wouldn't just isolate to like, hey, I'm just on Japanese food, unless you wanted to. Instead, I would say like, hey, I'm going to make sure that if people typically respond to this better, then I'm putting out, more of these, but I'm also going to put out, some of the other stuff too, because, people that are interested in making food are interested in making food. So because of that, I would definitely, I don't think that you're, too broad there, because you're, showing people how to make food. I mean, people do have tastes, as well. So, that's where, figuring out like, hey, over time, you're going to figure out with all the different types of foods that you make, you're going to figure out this one performs the worst. This one always does like, and then this one, it's kind of like it gets the job done, but it's not, like awesome. And then you're going to find that one is always a top performer. So once you get that information from your channel, that's where you're like, okay, I'm going to really lean into that. Okay. You say Italian does the best. Yeah. So then in that case, I would lean most into Italian food. And I would consider like, if you wanted to experiment with it, then, one of the things that you could consider is like, hey, over the next 90 days, I'm just going to do Italian, and I'm just going to see, if people respond to that, more, just for people that love Italian food, and build the, whole thing over the next 90 days just based on Italian food, and just see, if that's, one, if that's something that you want to do. 2, see if they respond well to that. But if the better is different, if there's like thousands of views difference, then in that case, that would be the way to go. If it's like, like 100 view difference or something like that, then, I wouldn't make that definitive call yet. But if you're like, hey, these always do way better, then in that case, that is definitely content that you want to lean into, sorry. Let's see here. Yeah, and that's clever too. I can make a Swedish take on different Italian food. Yeah, like getting creative like that, like to where, the thing is framed around like the Italian food, and then you are, mixing in like other, kind of doing fusions and stuff. Yeah, I mean, you definitely do that. But one thing that I would do is I would, you've already identified that the Italian food, does the best. So if the Italian food does the best, I would just make that priority content. And if it was mine, I would experiment with just doing that for the next 90 days if you're trying to get that initial, ball rolling, so to speak, and just see if, by niching down into Italian food, if you, can become a resource for Italian food. But before you do that, also make sure that you have a bunch of video ideas before you start walking down that path so you can ensure sustainability for the channel. That's one thing I always talk about. Like when I do presentations and stuff, when I go to conferences, like one of the things that I always, make sure to bring to people's attention is just sustainability when it comes to this, because like, it's awesome, when you have like a video take off or a handful of videos take off, but like, the thing you got to make sure that you also remember is that, as a content creator, you're going to be doing this for a while. So because of that, you have to make sure that what you're doing is also sustainable so that you can do it for a while, right? So because of that, like when you are, if you're like, hey, I'm going to do, Italian food, make sure that you're like, hey, these are all of, I got like, 300 different recipes that I can do for Italian food. So that you can make sure that you have, enough content that you're going to be able to put, videos out on a regular basis for a while. All right. On that note, Captain Savage Aquatics. Hey, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing awesome.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Welcome to the Nimminati. Make sure when you get the chance, you go to nimminvip.com. It's going to redirect you to the service that I use to manage my memberships. It's called Members Amp. And with that, just make sure you connect everything up. Once you're in there's going to be a direct link to our members only Facebook group. So make sure that you do, check that out, because there, if you have a question about something, you can just tag me and then, we can take it from there. We also do live streams in there on a regular basis, that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you go through that. As soon as you connect, you're going to get like instant rewards and that kind of stuff, like some downloads and that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you do that. If you can do that like now, then I can add you to the group right here in just a few minutes. Brandon's Recovery TV. I do have a TikTok. If you just look for Nick Nimmin, you will find me on TikTok. So with all that said, I want to thank everybody for hanging out in the stream today. I hope that you learned something from the conversation today. If you are a new content creator, one thing that I do want to, remind you of is that, some of this stuff can take time. But the best thing that you can do is try to just pick a thing that you can improve on like this week, or a couple of things that you can improve on this week, instead of trying to tackle like everything all at once, because there's so much nuance to all of this. But basically just like try to, hey, thank you, Christina. But I still got a while, but thank you. Yeah, I still got like a month. But like, just make sure that, like like when you hang out in streams like this with all the information, sometimes it can be like, man, I got so much stuff that I have to, learn. I got so much stuff that I have to do. You do, it's not easy. That's why, everybody that starts a YouTube channel doesn't have like huge YouTube channels, because it's not, it's not easy. But one thing that you want to make sure that you are doing though, is that you're like, hey, this is where I'm at in the learning curve. This is where I'm at in the learning process of, doing this thing. So let me just embrace that and let me, take this time to like learn how to make better thumbnails, learn how to make better titles, learn how to make the videos, learn how to read my analytics, those types of things. And, when you apply that effort, then what's going to happen is that's the process literally of putting one foot in front of the other in terms of like, I'm learning this, now I'm learning this, now I'm learning this. And next thing you know, you're going to be down here in the learning curve and you're going to be like, wow, I like now I know what I'm doing. Now I know how to grab people's attention. Now I know how to make videos they respond to better. Now my channel's growing faster, those types of things. So just embrace that and I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time. By the way, I also have things in my video description as well that will help you out as content creators. So if there are things that, that you're looking for or, whatever, I've just got, a bunch of useful stuff down there for you. So make sure that you check that out as well. And I will see you next Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. I'll also see you on Monday, I believe, for a monetization stream. And I will see you next Friday for the news as well. And besides that, everybody have an awesome rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.